returned. Now, what is interesting is I was right and I was wrong, Yamato. Who could imagine that? Imagine that. Imagine not a black and white harsh reality of 100% wrong or 100% right, like I'm told from the Twitterverse. Because here's the one thing I actually underestimated last week when I did that episode where we hyped the Gen.G T1 match, which was for obviously the 4th place in the LCK. Remember, they don't have a regional, unlike the LPL. And so as a result, basically, this does mean now Faker and T1 will play whoever is 4th in the LPL for the last spot in the main event. We'll get to that whole thing there because I have to say, I already don't really agree with this whole thing. I saw like Faker just made worlds. It's like, I don't know if we should count that as worlds, you know what I mean? But we can get to that later. But here's where I was wrong. Because I told you, because of the matchup, think of the stakes of being in the main event or not for either Chovy or Faker or T1 or GenG. That is enormous. I mean, basically, from the middle of the year or their latter part of spring onwards, these have been the 2 best teams in the world. These were the 2 best teams at the MSI, EWC. So in theory, it should be blockbuster. And I predicted to you, this would be like the biggest match of the year until Worlds Biscuit. Here's where I was wrong though, Yamato. Because nobody looked at that format. This is how you can tell. Nobody, when they designed the LCK format, thought that match would be Gen.G versus T1. That match was supposed to be, Yamato, you know, like fucking Hanwha Life versus KT Rolster or D Plus versus Hanwha Life. It was supposed to be some match like that, or in an outside world at the beginning. I don't know, maybe Nongshim could have snuck in there because they thought it was going to be like a throwaway whatever match, and it's for the playing spot. Here's why I know that's how it was scheduled. Because, bro, the match took place at the exact same time as the LPL final. Like, brother, we need those Chinese viewers. Like, they're all watching the fucking final of the LPL, you lunatics. So I was wrong on that. As far as I can tell, it will not end up actually being the highest viewed match of the year because it just can't be. Like, at the exact same time, it's like Knight was trying to win fucking the LPL for the 6th time or whatever. Like, it's actually, so yeah, anyway, I was wrong on that one. But I'll tell you what, though, why don't we start with that match? Because it was the joke is, even though the LPL final took place, I almost feel like this game was bigger stakes, mate. I mean, for a start off, you have literally added it. I know everyone in their brain does the whole like T1 doesn't lose to the LPL. Well, if they lose 1B or 5, they won't be at Worlds, which destroys, by the way, every cool narrative that you had going for you if you were T1. The whole like, if we make Worlds, we always make at least the semis. Faker had won, I think, like half of the Worlds he was at. Like, you have all these cool narratives, you know. Even last year, people forget they got the 4th seed, but they made it through all the way. Obviously, that didn't penalise you in the same way back then. He made it through and won the title as the 4th seed, which is kind of crazy in itself, a la DRX. So it is kind of nuts, but even so, like, let's just start with that, Yamato. Before we get into the game, what do you think of the fact that we've got a world where T1's going against the 4th seed? Because I have to say, I think this is the most surprising one, bro. If you look at the last 2 years, the joke is, if you remember in 2023, we all would have thought they would be the 4th seed at best. Like, that was the one where Faker had to go out. Poby came in. They lost all the fucking games pretty much. They all looked shit. And Faker had been bad before he'd been out. Last year was the one where he literally was banging his head off the wall because he was like in bad form and they were losing to literal randos and all over them, including like KT in the regular season. And they almost lost in the... So all those ones, that would be reasonable if like you didn't make Worlds off those ones. The joke is, I actually think of the 3 years, this is the best one in terms of like, I did think right before these playoffs began, I would have told you T1's the 2nd best team in the world. They actually seem like they probably would beat whoever the best LPL team is because the LPL was in flux, as you say. You never knew who the best team was. So what do you think of this, the fact that T1 is going to be the 4th seed? Thoughts?
I think it's crazy to like thinking back at T1's history, like even in at the World Championship, they start off very slow. It's like we had last year. They lost the BO1 against Top Esports.
Yeah.
They almost lost to G2. They had to do this miracle comeback, like in that first game where they stole Nash with Vi, and it's like they were 10k goal behind with 3 inhibs down. It's like the odds of you winning a position like that with 3 inhibs down, it's like that happens 1 in 1,000. Like literally in pro play, like 1 in 1,000, 3 inhibs down, and you manage to come back into the game. It's like T1 start events very slowly, and here there is no cushion. It's like it's very brutal because I will feel bad for whichever team doesn't make it because they're going to go through their entire bootcamp, the entire prep phase. They're going to do everything to prepare for the World Championship, and they might just go home after one damn series, similar to how Golden Guardians did when they played against BDS. So already conceptually, that's so far so terrible because in my mind it should be, maybe they should play like a week after all the playoffs is over, and they just have like make a massive event about it, just host it somewhere and make a big deal about it. One day, big venue. I'm sure that would pop, but I imagine that on the short term, it's hard to imagine that, hard to plan for a scenario at the beginning of a year, budget-wise, that it's going to be IG versus T1, very likely.
You can't know that, exactly. Yeah,
it's an impossibility, but there's definitely a world where T1 could come into this with bad form and be punished for it. There's been moments throughout the year when that has been the case, and especially at the World Championship, they tend to warm up slowly. The one time they didn't was the one time they lost against DRX, because that was the entire time when they beat EDG in the regular, like in the group stage and so forth. 2022, they lost against like Fnatic ones, my Fnatic ones, but it's like they came out of that group as the number one seed and dominated from the get-go. They smacked around RNG in the first quarters. It's like, oh, T1's winning this tournament easily. So there is a little bit of a problem that they need to face, definitely. I'm with you though. It's like I thought this summer was the most fun T1 to watch, because I never enjoyed the T1 that was trash and like limped into the World Championship. Like, that was boring to me. Like, I would rather have a very, very strong T1 that came in and they started off the regular split so well, but then they dropped almost was the HLE. They dropped against KT in the regular split, and you could see that there was like a dip in performance from the bot lane, and same for everybody involved. I felt like everyone on T1 kind of performed worse and worse, but then they kind of made it through to the World Championship over the back of like just owner kind of dragging them. But I guess it's time for us to jump into the series. What do you think about this series? This is what our third T1 Gen.G BO5 that we got this year.
Yeah,
probably the worst one in my mind. Yeah.
One, if someone is a humanoid hater, actually just go and watch the game he's talking about, where Fnatic did beat T1 in 2022 in the opening. It's actually their second game in the group stage, but that game is one of the reasons why people will never give up on humanoid, because let's be real, not many people actually could do that against Faker and the Koreans and on the stage of Worlds. That was actually a bang. That was even a great poppy game from Razork, if people remember. That was like one of the ones that gave you the Corpium, didn't it? So no, on this actual series, I mean, the first place we have to start is actually with T1, like you're saying, before we even get to the Gen.G side. Bro, even though, this is what's crazy, this is where people who are idiot haters don't get it. My way of thinking is so different from fans. Like, whereas a fan will do that thing where, I call it like, they do too low resolution an approach. Like, they're just looking from way too big an overview when they say mad things like T1 just always clutches it out and makes worlds, and then they'll figure out the metro and win the world. It's like, sort of, but it's happened twice, like ever. And even then, there's like other factors that inform it, like what was the meta from Riot? What happened to some of the other teams? Like, for example, it does seem significant that right before Worlds last year, Gen.G lost that final to Hanwha Life. That sort of made them mortal. It seemed like it shook them a little bit before. Remember, they couldn't lose. They like used to smurf on everyone. So I do think people are too simplistic when they do it, because what people miss is the flow of the year never went that way. In the same way as I pointed out, the last two years would say T1 shouldn't win Worlds. Well, this time around, coming into these playoffs, like I told you, people were forgetting there's a chance T1 could have won LCK. Like, there's only the one title this year because they do the whole long season. And if you look at it, they were clearly the second best team for the whole year after the LCK Cup. That was obvious, by the way. You just look at the international and domestic play. They're also the only team, by the way, that did beat Gen.G. Everyone else couldn't get it done. And then they all, except until they got to the playoffs, obviously. And so going into the playoffs, that's why we were joking when they didn't have the reseeding thing written on the format of like, this would actually be like a terrible bracket if T1 just goes straight in that match. And remember, even them being in the first match was like, just because of the weird tiebreaker rules with Hanwha Life, it wasn't head-to-head. If it was head-to-head, by the way, T1 would have had the other semi-final. It would be Hanwha Life that was getting picked. Well, in this case, they would play T1 anyway in this scenario. So, no, I actually do think people will miss that. If you go to the episode before they play D+, our take is more like, can they win the LCK? Like, surely they're going to be second, if anything, in the LCK. That just seemed obvious. So I actually think the downturn in the playoffs has been really startling, bro. Like, across the board. I mean, think about this. Over the 3 series they played in the playoffs, they won something like 5 games and lost 8. Bro, that's like, what? And like, look, the Gen.G one's fine. You can get to that. But the idea D+ almost beats you, like, and then you just get clapped by Hanwha Life. Like, that's really shocking, because earlier in the year, I would have bet my life they would beat D plus easily, mate. That should be 3-0. And then the idea that Hanwha Life 3-0 is crazy because they have not shown, like, yeah, they've gotten better, but they have not shown themselves to be like some super clean team who just crushes people in front runs. Like, a lot of this does backlash, I think, onto T1. And then you look at the form of the players in T1. All right, I'll give it to this, right? I do think, despite the losses, generally Order has played really well still, mate. That has continued on. I actually still think this is where, you know, when you might get this, I don't know, Yamato, but anytime I ever comment on T1 and Faker, the fans are so out of shit, like excuses and things to say. Their new tactic with me, bros, they just like concern troll me that I keep mentioning T1. Like, why are you mentioning T1 so much? Are you obsessed? He lives rent free. Meanwhile, their whole account is like T1, like picture of Kerrier, like fucking T1 badges. Every post is like, oh, I hope T1's all right after the game. And then I go, after an actual analyst whose job literally paid 6 figures to talk about this shit. I go, oh, T1's lost a big high profile game. Like, stop talking. Are you fucking obsessed? Like, yeah, all right, mate. The call's coming from inside your head. You do know that, right? Like, it's totally logical why I would talk about them. But anyway, so what's mad is I do feel like all these fans also, like, they always do this thing, Yamato. They have their cake and eat it. They tell us, who cares about LCK? Only Worlds matters. All right, so we must have the whole year. That must be glorious for us. We must get the whole year off. You guys going mental then. There's no way all year long you'd say you're going to win LCK and MSI. And you must never say that because only Worlds counts and you all know that. No, you go mental on every single match. So I do think, like, bro, where's all the credit for Order this year? Please, if you are a T1 fan, take a moment, step outside being a fan of Faker and acknowledge that actually Order for real has contested for like best jungler in the world this year and his team has won nothing. Nothing. That's irrelevant to it. Guess what? I'm actually going to blow your minds, guys. Are you ready? You ready, T1 fans? Sit down. Winning the tournament doesn't make you the best player in your role. I know that's crazy to you because you've lived off that. But actually, it doesn't matter that they won nothing this year and that this T1, or if you look at a Leaguepedia, will go down as not a great version. I agree with you, Yamato. I think there was times in late spring to most of the summer where this T1 looked better than the ones that won Worlds. Not at Worlds, obviously, but over the year, it looked way better. It looked like this was going to have a way better legacy. Like, the joke is, if they'd have come second at Worlds with this roster, I'd have said, like, that's actually a pretty fucking good year when you consider where they started with Doran. No one would actually have expected. They got the Gumayusi drama. He came back. But this is the sad thing. When they've gotten to the end of summer, most players you can have criticisms of, mate. You can have criticisms of what happened to Doran when the playoffs came. He was fucking good before that. He was like a meaningful top laner. You can go look. Kerry was fucking smurfing. He was like content of like best player of the world probably. Guma looked good on his champions. Admittedly, Faker hasn't had a very good summer, but that doesn't really matter at this point in time. No one's treating him like he's the main player who has to carry. But I do think Order has been slept on, bro. Even in their bad games, you could see, I think this guy's been fucking sick.
Owner's been tremendous. I even want to bring people back to the Winter Cup, because if it wasn't for the terrible seeding system, there's a world where T1 get a rematch, because Hanwha Life, everyone agreed that Hanwha Life was the best team in the world. They were clutching it out in Game 5. Yeah. Zeus was like the best performing player in the world. And the team to be the closest one to beat them, although there were Game 5s that Hanwha Life was in, it was T1. Like they were one play away from winning. They were one Nash decision away from winning in that like Akali Doran game with the Draven of Smash at the time, and they ended up, what was it, 6th place? But that was such bullshit. Yeah. That was such bullshit, because like Nongxin slipped through into top 4 by having an easier match, and there was no like they could have just added an additional match, and then suddenly the loser of those two had to play, and then they had to play again, and they could have just created a much better seeding system, and then maybe there's a world where T1 maybe makes a run, maybe makes a bracket, because I think
they would at least have been better than 50s. They would have been like 3rd or something at worst. Maybe
minimum.
They could have been yeah, they could have,
And I wanted to add to the conversation of T1's year actually like looked good. It's like this was one of the like better years. It's like we've had periods where like their spring split runs in playoffs have been very good. It's like that series that everyone references back before MSI last year. That was between T1 and GenG, so they deserve props for that one. But collectively, if you just look at the whole year, T1 was quite consistent outside of maybe like spring regular split before the playoffs, because that's when Doran was getting like soul killed by Clear in Jace versus like Gwen matchups, and it just kind of looked all over the place. They didn't have like a clear identity, but then they just tightened up and of course demolished the playoffs 3-0ing Hanwha Life that was just so damn down. For things to end that way, it's kind of weird because it's like we cover LPL, we enjoy LPL. It's like with how Gen.G and T1 look like, it's like the first time where I can even begin to like imagine appropriately with the LPL winning worlds. It's like it's possible after these matches.
Gen.G can lose to KT and T1 can look ass like this. You have to actually imagine. We're not even saying, by the way, guys, this means the LPL's way better. We're actually saying the LCK looks like the legs have fallen out under them, and so all of a sudden, even though it might sound crazy, bro, we'll get to this later. But like, if I'm both of the LPL finals, I'm like, mate, maybe we're in with this one. Maybe if we play great, we actually can win this motherfucker. We don't even need our best ever team.
Because like just looking at this series, T1 Gen.G, I think this was the worst one that they played between one another, like by far.
The others, literally, especially the MSI ones, were like, I think those were the matches of the year, mate. Those was like those are some amazing games. Those are like that showed you like how high league could go. And I agree, this one was like it was just survival, bro. This was like just trying to fucking win. Never mind beautiful League of Legends.
It is fucking nuts to even think about that. This is the first time they play a BO5 between each other within the LCK.
Yeah,
that part is
another
even
thing
crazy.
I wanted to say. I'll tell you what, let's chuck that in and then we'll dive into the match. Bro, let's just conclusively get this together right now at the beginning. Maybe I'll do a Thorin Starts if I feel like it. This LCK formatting this year has been fucking dog shit. One of the best things about the LCK in past years, look, I used to be someone who complained a lot when it was the gauntlet format for playoffs, because even though I understand it makes the regular season more important, I always thought it was whack because essentially a gauntlet is a bracket. You've just taken half of the bracket off. And then you make it like a lower bracket only, essentially, right? That's what that's what that format is. Well, the reason why that sucks to me is if you get either matches back in the day where like Griffin or Gen.G makes it and then just loses in the one match they play in the final. Well, that's whack because you don't get to see what they would have done in the semi and the quarterfinal. Maybe they would have had an awesome game and that would change how you remember that year. And then also the other thing is you had no double limb component. So I looked at the like in theory, Summer I'm not that pissed with, but I used to think in the last few years they'd nailed the LCK format. You have two splits, so you get to have two titles. That's even better, by the way. Gives you a chance of two different champions or one champion to win both and have this like golden road type narrative, which I think is a really cool narrative in League. I think it's admittedly with first stand, like we said, it makes it a bit harder if you want to include that. But I actually thought the last year format, where in theory we're not counting EWC, you just have the 4 tournaments, you have the 2 splits, the 2 international tournaments. I think that is like some cool shit like tennis where it's like, can I do the year Grand Slam? That's like a fucking dope thing to go for historically and try and be the greatest ever. But you look this year, holy fuck have they ruined the LCK. Think about this. So we had the LCK Cup, which bizarrely we were only informed afterwards. Koreans aren't even counting. Like, what? What were we doing the whole time? So that is just insanity to me that they're counting that as like almost like an off-season tournament, or they're counting like the fucking pre-season in football, mate, when no one gives a shit and you just play like, you know, your new striker for 10 minutes to give the fans a look at him. Like they're treating that competition like it was nothing, even though, by the way, the reason that's aged so badly, Korea, is it went into a national tournament, you lunatics. Like, of course that should count. So LCK, not only do they say it doesn't count, but as you point out, the format was beyond flawed, mate. Like T1 went 4-1 in a group, by the way, that had the eventual champions, Hanwha Life. And so that means they start in like a play-in and then have to play a weird match before double a limb. And then they end up playing the same team from the group that they were in, that they'd beaten. And because they lose 3-2, they're out of the tournament. That's just dog shit. Like that is actually objectively one of the worst formats I've ever seen designed. Like whoever came up with that, check your fucking head, mate. Like what was so T1 had to go 5-0 in their group to not have to play this bullshit single Olympic. That doesn't even make sense. It makes no sense at all. Like if people don't know, the only team that went 5-0 was D+. So why does T1 get to come like essentially third in that grouping by that logic? Like that breaks my brain. So there's that, which means essentially, like you're saying, you don't, the big what ifs of that split is obviously what if T1 had either rematched Hanwha Life or they'd played Gen.G, because every match was fucking 3-2 between all those top teams, right? So it feels unsatisfying, Yamato. But wait, You like unsatisfying? There's more. Billy fucking Mays selling shit over here. So instead of the steak knives now, oh, you think it's unsatisfying, Yamato, when you don't get a rematch or you don't get enough matches between top teams? How about no match for the final at all? Can I interest you, sir, in the road to MSI? Well, yeah, I'd love to see teams qualified MSI by winning the split. No winners here. We're going to have a playoffs where what we're going to do is we're going to have number 1 and number 2 play each other, and then the winner of that match will just go to MSI. All right, is that the final? No, that's there is no final, sir. And then we're going to have another match. All right, fucking hell, what's this next match? Well, let's see number 2. We'll play number 3. All right, and then the winner plays number 1. No, they're at MSI. It's like, fucking hell, you've done it again.
They've already left.
You've done yourselves, boys. I know exactly. Like, what's mad is you've told me the other split was imaginary and had a shit format. This split isn't a split. It's just a weird thing to call it. It's like a weird regional instead of a playoffs, where you do the regional logic of whoever wins the first match goes, and then the second one's like the last plot. You've done a weird regional. So, okay, I still haven't had, by your logic, in the LCK, an LCK champion yet. I've just had a preseason tournament and sort of a power ranking to get me to MSI. Okay, cool. It's all right. Let's just wait for the fucking And then the summer is this nonsense where it's like just a playoff. But now, bizarrely, there's no regional. So it also makes it so that, like, like the joke is, you can actually argue the low bracket match now of Gen.G T1 might actually be the most important match of the year. A low bracket match. Logically, it's true, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think, sadly, unless KT magically wins or something, nobody's ever going to actually remember the final of this LCK, or unless, like, Gen.G comes back maybe in an epic under. But, like, they've actually sort of low-key. Instead of cooking, it's the opposite. We're all starving, mate. Like, can we have a meal? I'm waiting. Because like I say, I'm used to being spoiled by the LPL and the LCK. I always know those formats are going to be sturdy now. It's going to be awesome, by the way, for the historical context. There's another thing we could talk about in a second. This can't count as one title as well. The whole fucking year for one title. What are we doing? So what do you think about this, Yamato? Because they've tried a lot of formats over the years, but this isn't it, mate. I mean, I know people complain about the LTA. Well, I think this is almost as bad, mate. This format is shit. Like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I think we had it last year. We had it nailed. If anything, my dream would have been, when I saw LCK Cup, that we get 3 splits like that. I thought that would be dope. What are your thoughts on the format this year?
It's just, like, I was thinking of the same line of thinking. It's like, this would be, like, if LCK goes down like a bad path, it's like they have so much goodwill, right? But this would be like step 1 in the Pandora's box. It's like the downfall of LCK. Like this year in terms of the format. Yeah. I think in my mind, I thought they would simplify it by just being like, oh, we keep our splits, but whoever qualifies to first stand is whoever is the number 1 team after the first round robin.
Okay.
And then just maintain everything the same way. It's like, it's like, oh, you play the first round robin, best of 3s. I think it's a fair qualifying system. All the teams are aware of it. And then let's say Gen.G, they were 8-1, or Hanwha Life or something. It's like you played all the teams and you were the best out of all the teams. You get shipped off to first stand, you played the tournament, and then that's your winter segment. Because then you maintain the main thing that everybody loves. It's like, we had no complaints with the format. I think it's double round robin, best of 3. It's like the only defense in my mind.
I should have said the one good thing is I do actually like the summer, like, split into the 2 groups. That part's an improvement.
Yeah,
I like the ascend group logic. I'll give them credit. I should give them for that. That one part was better. I'll give them that.
Agreed. It's just take ideas from LPO. That's where we're landing. It's just it's like the format of having what they had in spring, but it was like just a double round robin. Spring was very, very long. Where Gen.G was first place after, of course, playing 18 best of 3s. I think to some degree that still is, like, if that's the format to lock you in as a winner, I think that's the only, like, defense. Because I think the community is so removed from how important a regular split can be. But if you look at any, like, sport or anything, like if you look at the Premier League, it's like there's no playoff there. It's like, oh, you win and you get the points and you're done, and then that's it. You know, it's like you're number 1. And I think what Gen.G did was the equivalent of that. It's like, if you beat everybody in a double round robin best of 3, like, that's a pretty definitive format. Yeah. But still, like, the lack of a finals with what it is and what people are used to, it's like you have created a legacy of a certain something. And I think the double round robin system is very good. I think the split off was also very, very good. But I thought, plain and simple, what they would do is just make Like if they go into the next year and they have to do the Winter Cup, Summer Cup thing again, I think the easy move would be you create a cutoff point after the first round robin, and then that round robin also determines the second round robin, and then you just make the split again, or you have 5-5. Like you make that divide earlier on, and that's your spring, and then you move on, and then you create like a clear cutting point. I think this was giga disappointing. I don't even know who is for. Like that's the main question.
Yeah,
it's like
good question. Yeah,
someone needs to be responsible. Like somebody needs to be fired. Like somebody like who like last episode you called out Riot Global. It's like who is it? We need a name. Like who made the LCK format, LPL format? What's happening?
To me, there has to be two reasons that you change the format. You either change it to increase viewership. Hard to argue against that. That's the finances of the industry. And by the way, please understand, fans at home, when you hear stories like companies lose money, please don't ever say the words out loud. Then it doesn't matter if they lose more money. That will never make sense ever in a million years.
What? People say that?
Mate, you don't know how bad people's logic is. If you lose money, well, who cares anyway? It's like, well, no, that's why you can't do these things, because you're losing money. Like, you have to try and get to, doesn't actually have to be profitable, but it has to be not very big loss so that it justifies all the other things you do. So anyway, that's already madness. But you either do it to increase viewership, because that just allows the league to live, or you do it to make the competition better, which is you do the best format. This is some nightmare world where, as far as I can tell, they did neither, Yamato. I don't even know what the logic is. Like, the craziest thing is, think of how many times, including last year, the spring final is like one of the biggest matches of the year. Like, that game, the T1 Gen.G one, is still considered like one of the most important games played over the last few years. It was epic. Like, it was the moment Chovy sort of went full Chovy mode in an LCK final and clutched out the game 5, etc. Right? Imagine if that didn't exist. Imagine if it just went, oh, well, see ya, MSI, lol. Like, that would be mental. So I agree. I don't know who this is for. Like, I don't know who actually looks at this and goes, awesome. This makes me want to watch even more. Like I said, I'll give you the summer group part. I do think that was an improvement. I think it was dope seeing T1 and Gen.G play all those times, and fucking Hanwha Life play T1 all those times and lose every time. That actually made it more hype when they played the fucking match now. Yeah, of course. If they had played in the final, it would have been epic. But no, I don't get it at all, mate. As far as I can tell, you've just actually made one of the best regions to watch worse. And also the matches you've taken out are the matches we wanted to see. The most important matches of the split. I'll never get that part. It's so bizarre.
It's absolutely mental. I guess it's also, it's like I went back and looked at the videos of how they announce the format. Is so subtle, you know, like they don't make it clear at all that these are the traps and the holes that the system is going to fall in.
It was only something mental, like a week before that road to MSI, you even noticed on the format there was no final. Yeah. None of us looked. And if you ever look on Leaguepedia, you look at that bracket thing, and it looks like it's just like a fucking one of those ones where it's got like a small double limb, like the LEC one where you got a small upper bracket. It looked like one of those, didn't it? But then you don't notice, like, we just took out the most important match. Like, what? Nanny? What? Like, that's madness, bro. That's actually madness. That's so mad in it. It's so bad.
No. The split thing, I like what the LPL did. It's like they know what's up, they know what's coming. You know, just put the good teams in the good group. Like I need the LEC to do the same. I don't even think LTA can do the same. They don't have enough good teams, but that's the future. Just give us the good games. Like if esports, if League Esports is going to be ruined and there's no room for like teams to grow and make their own thing, and that ship has sailed, just make the good orgs fight the good orgs. Like we are going to move in that direction anyway, so let's just let it happen. And at some point the teams like the regions are going to be as brutal as the LPL is, where they are basically going to indirectly kick you out of the league. Where it's like you don't get to play summer, you don't get to play spring, and then eventually we're just going to move to a world where we're going to have fewer and fewer teams, but more and more banger matchups. I think that's just the future, Thorin.
Right, here's the thing. I'm going to do one thing that's good for my company, Last Creation, and bad you might watch, because I have to. Here's the thing. I'm going to do what you should do, which is cross-promote other shows so that people who fancy this show are aware. But because I'm Thorin, the way I'm going to do it is mildly insulting. So buckle up. no change from usual. So we have a show on this network called The Monty and Wolf Show. It was actually the episode came out yesterday. Now look, the name is misleading. There's no fucking Monty in it. It's Dagon and Wolf, which already is some like catfish bait and switch right there. But listen, I even like Dagon, but he isn't Monty, is he? So I'm just putting that out there. So it's called The Monty Wolf Show, but it's really Dagon and Wolf now because obviously Monty had to step back and do all the business shit. And then on this show, I haven't had a chance to watch it. I was just watching a little clip right now, but the headline and the thumbnail already have me like, is this some Doctor Strange shit? Are you guys in another universe? Because I was going to frame this Gen.G T1 series, Yamato. I can't actually believe this. Their title of their episode is the T1 versus Gen.G series did not disappoint. And then the thumbnail was like best series, like of what? The day, you fucking mad bastard. What are you talking? Because I don't.
Not even of the day, brother. We had LPL Finals.
The LPL one was better, but yeah, the best LCK series of the day, I guess. No, mate, it's mad. Like, I'm low key. Like, listen, I'm gonna watch that later. I haven't got time right now, but I need to see what Wolf was cooking in that episode because holy moly, is that to me? That's like, I don't know if fans have that sentiment, but I thought that was a contrarian take. I get that, like in League especially, it is sort of a cliche that if it goes to the silver scrapes, people automatically dob it a Gigabama and a classic. Yeah, I get that that's a thing. But I actually thought this wasn't a very good 5-game series, especially like you alluded to, Yamato, when I've already seen some epic best of 5 series between these two teams at MSI, haven't I? I've seen some insane games there. This Priceway, here's one reason why, even though it was a 3-2 and it was exciting and it's certainly tense, and yes, going into game 5, everyone's butthole was incredibly fucking clenched. I get it. But here's why I have to start to get into the series, Yamato, and I can't say it was one of the series of the year. Because another thing that happened in this series that I think's been T1's nightmare the whole playoffs long is, mate, their drafting is so fucked right now. Like, I'm sorry, people don't want to hear this, but you can just tell by what champion is locked in for Faker whether they have any chance in the match or not. You know what I mean? Like, I can see from the lock-in in the draft, you might like, nah, forget this one. Like if I were Gen.G, I would never have felt like I could lose this series, mate, because some of the drafts from T1 are like, even you don't really think that's that good a draft. You just sort of checkmated. You haven't got that many picks anymore. Like, I actually low-key do think D+ sort of did show how to beat T1 because they did actually, funnily enough, it's what I remember happening way back when Jojo was having his problems in the LEC. I think it was MCoy or someone. It wouldn't be MCoy. It was, I can't remember which team it was, but there was a team I remember played them. And because at the time Jojo was having problems, their whole draft strategy was just drain Jojo's champion pool. If he plays 3 champions, we're going to pick one, ban another for a couple of games, and he'll get his 3 eventually. But if we play BO5, you won't have 5 champions. Bro, Faker's in that spot right now. Like, if this meta is what everyone had to play T1 on, they wouldn't win Worlds, mate. Like, he can't get to his champion. Because even when, like, if you go and look, it's not even just banning, bro. Just picking one of his champions makes it really hard for T1 to get any comps. Like, didn't you think drafting was an issue for T1 in this series, bro?
I think like the opening, like if I'm preparing against T1 and I'm starting on red side, I just remove Azir, Bard, Orianna, and this is what we saw throughout the entire playoffs. Yep. We even saw Zeka like first picking Orianna away. I think even in that opening game, the Gen.G gave away Orianna. Obviously, it's like not a big pick for Chovy, but I thought that was like dangerous too. Like that was a game, like the only game that was rather close, and then we had like that absurd Drake situation where they just gave up Soul. And eventually, like, they just forced Nash and like lost the game.
That's also the problem, Yamato. If we actually get Orianna onto Faker in game 1, we better win game 1. Bro, this needs to be a win. We have to get this one.
Because it's like the way that game was lost was just, for me, what highlights this series to be just like very, very low quality. It's like if we're watching a series and I see like players like Keria and players like Faker just getting hooked on cooldown by Duro's Blitzcrank, it's like fair play to Duro, you know, fair play to him.
Oh, he was smurfing. Yeah, fair play to him.
But it's like if I'm seeing a 1v9 performance in a series that is supposed to be the 2 best teams, like I'm expecting like very, very intricate details that are going to be like the game deciders. Because even that game 1 I mentioned, it was like this moment where Kiin basically did the red buff on bottom side of the map, announcing that he is not there. Like he announced that he's on red, and T1 didn't react to that information at all. And then Kiin just goes over the wall, hits Drake, and for some reason T1, knowing Kiin is on bot side with the red buff take, that they can just leash that Nash and force it, and at least get the Nash trade for that Drake. They don't take it. They just mumble around, stumble around, don't do anything, and that is like the. Like if there's a play to force Nash, like T1 is the team to take it. and they lost the Draco for that. And then there was like the way the game just concluded. It's like T1 did this push with only one Nashor into bottom side, lost mid prio, and they just stood on top of their own cannon minions, just looking at the enemy. So Gen.G had a solid minute to prepare the engage, as if it's a chessboard, and the enemy piece are just standing still. And the series, just based on that alone, it's like the game 2. It's like Jarvan owner just getting level 3 gank bot into kill, and then diving bot because for some reason, it's like Canyon is just doing drakes at very strange timers, and owner gets to take over the game. It's like if I'm watching T1 in this playoffs, I know every damn game that T1 played and they have a strong jungler, they're level 3 ganking bot. For them to fall against that when D+ lost pretty much because they got level 3 ganked back to back game against them, like that level of quality coinciding with, of course, the stakes of the match is what is so surprising. Like, I didn't think this was a quality match. Coming into that game 5 when they played, it's like that draft from T1, as you mentioned yourself, was just so damn atrocious. It's like Ziggs first pick. I get it, they've gotten into their own head about Ziggs because they lost against D+ Ziggs, Hanwha Life Ziggs, Gen.G Ziggs. They've been losing against the champion the entire like split. But even in the context of what T1 play, looking at that draft, it's like first picking Ziggs makes no sense. It's like you want to play Lucian, and if the enemy takes Rakan away, you can play your range champs into the Rakan, and then suddenly you have Lucian, Milio, Lucian, Nami in a game 5. That is like tremendous. But instead, you first pick the Ziggs, making the Rakan matchup very easy. Then at least I'm thinking that, okay, maybe Fake is playing the Ziggs. Maybe this was the plan that they're holding on to. They invite the Rakan, and they're going to play like a Philios Thresh or like the Lucian Nami, as I mentioned, and they have like a draft plan here that they're going to attack with. Maybe they play Doran's Yorick into the Ornn. But instead, they just lean heavier and heavier into a composition that is just so bad into what the enemy picked in the 1-2. And that's just so amateurish in my mind. The enemy has Ornn Rakan showing, and you want to pick more poke, and then the Nocturne is an easy lock-in, and the Vex on 5. It's rare that you get great spots for Vex on 5, because it's so damn rare that the enemy team has 5 squishy-ass champions together with Yone. So T1's drafting there, it's like 100% with you. The champion pools, it's like T1 is like the equivalent of like they have a bunch of players that are typecast, you know. They are great, you know. They have Jason Statham, they have the Sylvester Stallone, they have Denzel Washington. They are dope, you know. They are dope, but it's like I don't expect it to be like in a romantic comedy, a drama, you know. It just doesn't work, you know. They are there to play a very specific role, and Gen.G are the ones that can just do anything. So coming into a game 5, most likely they will win either way. But there's so many things to optimize here. It's like T1, you know so much about yourself. And me sitting there as just a commentator to have a better idea of what you should do in that moment is crazy. That shouldn't be the case.
No, I mean, I know what you mean. There's 3 players right now in T1 that you can fuck with in the draft. The one I don't blame is Carrier. In his case, right, anytime you ban out Carrier, you are complimenting him because you're actually saying, listen, mate, you are so good at support. You basically are better than support. So we'll just give you the best support champions. Just don't play any of your pocket picks. You can't play the Bard, for example. Like, that's a mad compliment. What you're saying there is actually, fuck it. You can have the best picks because support isn't fucking mid lane, mate. Like, we'll have to just, that'll be what I'll give up to take away the others. Because I know what you mean. The faker one's the obvious angle, but the underrated one is they also, with these drafts, like you're pointing out, fucked Gumayusi. And this is the guy, by the way, who has looked the worst in the playoffs. Like, he was totally fine in the summer, by the way. I thought he looked great at MSI, by the way. He looked like rejuvenated. They have absolutely fucked him in these drafts, bro. Like, he also never gets playable fucking... Like, I were you. Why are you picking Ziggs game 5? Like, that's like you've watched the Viper series and stuff like that, and you've got, hey, we could do that. No, in your team, you can't, bro. Like, that guy needs to be on, like, the super fucking carry champion, you know what I mean? Like, he needs to have his comfort, his... By the way, sometimes there's ones available. I know what you mean. That feels like you tried to 5D chess them with that pick, but I always say this. Sometimes when you try to outthink the opponent, you just end up outthinking yourself, mate. You know what I mean? It's like when you do, like, a second guess. That sometimes it can be smart and you do the right move. Sometimes you just second guess and it turns out the opponent wasn't even doing anything and you just opted into some dog shit, because that draft also blew my mind. Mate, I'm not even joking. Obviously this year, aside from the 1KT blip and the Hanwha Life one in LCK, Gen.G actually is unbelievable in game fives. They just win them for fun now. They always seem like they think they can win them. They always manage to get a great fucking, even if they don't get like the best draft, they get like the champions that they can win on. And actually, I actually, by the way, generally love their drafting strategy. They do feel like in game five, they just let the players pick. You just take the shit you can. It's like the old blind pick mentality. Like, what would you want to gamble the game on? I think that's dope. But mate, when I saw this draft, it's like, oh, Gen.G's winning this one. I'm not fucking nervous at all. Like, this is a dog shit draft. Like, how does T1 win this? And that just tells me you have no ideas at the end. Like, if I had to guess, Yamato, this is the way I would guess they get to that game five without being insulting to the T1 staff. I think they really just did not anticipate some of the Gen.G drafts. And I think as a result, they got to whatever the whiteboard was for game five when they were in that room in the back. I'll bet it was a million miles from there. Doctor Strange, we figured out all the possibilities, because I hope people understand this is why I was so against Fearless, unfortunately, because I think you get scenarios where it's the stuff you've never even played a practice game on is your game five draft. And that just ends up being what will decide championships, world spots, which, look, it's going to make it exciting. I'll give you that. But I don't think people realize exciting isn't always what you're going forward designing the game, though. I would say sometimes excitement's a byproduct. You want the game surely to be like very tactical for people who are able to practice a lot of things. That's one thing that was beautiful about the old standard format is standard draft led to worlds where actually on game five, sometimes as a team, you do what I'm saying they do individually. Now you go, right, here's our comfort comp. We can pilot this one. In the case of T1, it would often be a pick comp or a fucking skirmish comp or something. You pick one of those and it doesn't matter if the other team think they won the draft. Maybe that's what helps you, gives you the tools to win the game five. If you look at this draft and you're a T1 fan, what tools did they have to win this game? Like what lane were they going to win through? How were they going to win objectives? You know what I mean? Like this, were they going to win the team fight? Like, I don't know, bro. I'm actually low-key. This is why I don't agree with the Dagon, aka Monty, wearing Monty's name as a skin mask, fucking take about it being an amazing series. Like, bro, this was actually underwhelming series, unfortunately. It's certainly exciting that it went to game five, but first of all, game five wasn't that good, and the series in general will not be remembered as a great series, in my opinion, sadly. It could have been on paper, but it didn't live up to it.
I think that's such a great point. It's like that game five draft doesn't like represent T1 at all.
No, they're way better than that, mate.
And it's like you end up Faker Yone, which is something that bothers me is it doesn't matter too much, but the fact that like one of his world skins is Yone, it's like doesn't make any sense.
Weird, isn't it? I know.
Like, why on earth isn't it like Galio, man? Like, right? Come on, man. It's like Yone, come on, man.
So weird.
It's like it's like the Faker is all about that money now. You know, he wants that dinner with the Saudi prince, and now he wants the Yone money as well. You know, like Faker's changed.
Bro, it's like if Uzi I had his world skin and it was fucking Ziggs or something. Like, what, Uzi I? Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't represent anything about his game whatsoever. And here's the sickest thing about him having that skin, Yamato. Or if this is why there are two fakers, I'm sorry. There's the first half in the 2010s and then there's the 2020s faker. Bro, 2010s faker would have cooked on Yorn. He would have been one of the best players ever on that. Like, think I would say his mechanics would have been in like 2015 or 2017. But that not in this era. Like in the modern day, you might think people like Cream are losers. Boy, Cream would fucking murk Faker on a Yawn. I'm sure they're going to look up some game where he lost at Worlds now on it. But like on paper, he's a way better Yawn player than fucking Faker is. I'll even say, I know people don't want it, but Scout was a better Yawn player. There was a bunch of people. Like, that's not a Faker champion, I'm with you. And the idea your game five, by the way, think about this. I'll just read it out in case someone didn't watch it or they don't remember the series, right? Doran on Jace. If this was in the summer split, maybe I'd say he can make it work. That ain't the pick for now. Doran has now reverted to what, unfortunately, everyone cynically thought he would be at the beginning of the year. It's like, listen, shut the fuck up. You're not playing any carries. You're a weak side bitch. And basically your job is don't die too many times. Like, sadly, they've made him into that now, mate. I don't know why, because I actually thought he was awesome before the playoffs. Like, he actually was someone, you know what? Even if people had meme, he was fucking good on a Renekton or an Ambassador or something. He could actually play those champs. He had some good fucking games. So you got him on the Jace already, so I'm already a little bit nervous. Owner, that's fine. You are fucking sick, mate. You could play Lilia if you want. Maybe this comp's a bit dodgy, but maybe you'll make it work. I believe that. Faker Yorn is already like, right, we're in Cloud Cuckoo land. And then my bot lane, right, bro, need Gumayusi on a strong pick and I carry on some OP shit, is Ziggs Maokai. Like, why is it? This is one of the I know people complain about a lot of drafts, but you notice I'm not one of them, Yato. This is one of the weirdest drafts I've ever seen. Like, that's no way to go out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm English, mate. We believe in, like, having a sporting chance, fairness. Like, we can't play the game like this. That's like he's chopped his own legs off before a cup final. Like, he's not going to win, is he? Like, that is so ass, bro. Meanwhile, you go over to the side of Gen.G, bruh. They have got so many fucking beautiful comfort picks for themselves. Like, if people don't know, Trophy's always been playing that Vex, mate. As soon as it came in the LCK, he was always one of the people. Him and Knight were always trying to make that work and trying to make that like a fucking secret pocket pick. Ruler on the Lucian. Again, as you say, that Lucian should have been on fucking T1 ages ago in the series. How is that getting to Game 5 and going to Ruler? One of the best ADCs of all time. Oh, and then Duro, who, newsflash, everyone in the LCK, Duro has been like the sleeper fucking MVP candidate of the whole split. You're just going to let him have Rakan in Game 5. Like, you don't want to win. You just don't want to win this game, do you? Because there's another thing, bro. Go and look at the T1 bans. Your fear was Lysandra and fucking Smolder. What's happening in these scrims? What's going on in scrims, Yamato? I'm watching all the best games in the world. We're scared of Lysandra and you fucking Smolder. On the T1 side, like, right, that's blowing my brain, mate, even considering it now. That's
right.
like, that's some win trading shit, bro. What are we doing here? What is this?
Bro, they straight up, like, the whole plan for them was the Faker Yone. It's like they banned Smolder in case Kiin locks in Jace in the 1-2, because then they have to pick Yone 2-3, because with the Jace locked in, they can flex that into the Yone matchup. So they were in this mind frame. They were like, we have to ban Smolder in case we pick Yone 2-3, because they can Smolder on 3 mid, and Chovy is really good at that. Oh, and it's just like, where the fuck is your mind at, you know?
Here's what they were doing. You know those useless classes they do, sadly, where it's like self-defense for women. But if you ever watch the video, they're all like hilarious because it's all like, and then when the robber comes at the knife like this, you grab his hand and then you snap and then hiya and you flip him over. And it's like, not, he wouldn't stand there while you're doing all that. Like, while you're doing that, he said, grabbed your face, poking your eyes out. He shivved you with another, like, you would never get a chat. That they've done that, Yamato, because like you say there, they're like, and then what will happen is we pick the Yone, they try to counter, but we have the, they're like, they think they're the ones like, haha, you've activated my trap card. Meanwhile, Gen.G's just like, oh, sorry, what were you doing? Oh, I was just grafting a cup. Why have you made your dinner all shit like that? Like, you're gonna have to eat that now. Like, fucking hell, mate. Because none of the Gen.G picks imply they thought the same thing, Yamato. Gen.G and T1 were in alternate universes with these two drafts. It doesn't even make sense, does it?
Oh, it's like that fucking Indiana Jones, you know, with the blade, you know? It's like this faker with the Yone, and he just gets shot by the fucking engage comp. Exactly. Just press buttons, you know? Like, it's like that graph, you know? It's like, just press R, you know? It's like the newbies do it and the geniuses do it. In the middle, you have these people that try to fucking freak out. You know, on the Gen.Z side, though, it's like, I have to say, Canyon is having some of the worst series I've ever seen. Oh, I don't know what the hell this man's doing. This guy, I'm happy that
in the playoffs in general, he's fallen off, mate. He really has. He got murked by cars. I think Ono was better than him in this series. I'll tell you right now.
100%. It's like, the only nice part about, you know, like, why, like, Gen.G is going to make it through is that, like, Peanut's not going to punish Canyon. Like, Peanut having a good game, a fine game, that's going to be like, that's already good for our life, but Canyon's not gonna get punished or like devoured like he did. Like Ono on Jarvan, Ono on Wukong, like he drove the whole game. One smite, set up gang super well, kept up with the tempo of the game, set up his bot lane for success. It's like Peanut's not gonna punish Canyon the same way. I really doubt it. I think also Chovy, it's like his Vex game was good. I think that the two standout players on Gen.G right now is, like you said it yourself, it's like Duro, MVP candidates. Like Duro is fucking tremendous, how well he plays. And I think Kiin is also playing super well. Ruler. It's like surprisingly, it's like Chovy and Canyon are the two weakest performers on Gen.G.
I thought Dom made a very good point on Twitter. This is also, by the way, why it's so boring having fans who don't listen. Like, they might even actually open the VODs and while me and Dom are talking, but they don't listen to what we say. Have you ever noticed how I actually go out of my way in all conversations, Yamato, to like ask clarifying questions, to try and restate the premise to someone to check, is that what you actually mean? Because until I know what you mean, how can I respond or say you're wrong or there's a different perspective? Maybe we actually agree and we just miscommunicate or use different words. Maybe you mean something different by a term than I do, right? So the first thing you always have to do is figure out what someone's saying. This is how I know people don't listen to any of Dom's streams, bro. They just go, he is a T1 hater, therefore he loves everything that isn't T1, right? By that logic, right, you would all tell me, because of everything Dom said the last few years, he must just be the biggest Chovy fan ever, right? He must just think Chovy's better in every sense. He must be a fanboy like you guys at home. He's not. Because Dom, I thought, made a very fair point, which is, if you don't know, Chovy was awarded MVP of this series. And I agree with Dom. His tweet said, people need to stop defaulting Chovy as MVP every time Gen.G wins a series. I'm a huge Chovy glazer, but today was nothing special from him. Kiin and Duro were way more deserving. I absolutely agree with that, by the way.
Agreed, yeah.
Those would be in fact, not only are those the two, normally I do agree, like, carries probably should get the MVP because they have to literally do the carry. It's like in football, if you score the goals, you probably should win the Ballon d'Or, mate, except in very rare circumstances. I don't really think a defender or a goalkeeper should win no matter how good they are, because at the end of the day, they can only stop the other team scoring goals. They can't actually score them themselves, unfortunately. So normally, I'd be fine with it. Like, look, if you only looked at the game PD, you're going to think Chovy was insane. You're going to see some great box scores, especially the game 5, right? But I think if you actually watch the series, this is one of the rare times I would give it to the support, mate. I thought Duro was fucking insane. Especially when, remember, at the top level, we're talking about the top level, this is basically the rookie year for this guy. Like, this guy's not a player that's like experienced. This guy just fucking... He's against Carrier, boys. I think that's the GOAT he's playing against. And what a fucking amazing... And by the way, generally, after the first split, we take the cop out for a second. We're just talking about LCK, regular season. This guy has had a fucking amazing... He's actually... It's only because he's played in a super team with the biggest names you can imagine. He's not getting the credit. Like, he is fucking so good. Like, whoever picked him up from Gen.G, by the way, mad props. Like, that was you have a crazy scouting eye, mate. And I'm sure you had to have faith, but he was being rewarded. This guy's amazing. Like, genuinely, that might be one of the best series of supporters ever played against Carrier, mate.
I was just, I remember to reference back to like a couple of episodes back. I think it was like 4 or 5 episodes, a long time ago, where I mentioned I was reading a random YouTube comment and someone said, it's like, what does Duro need to do to get MVP? Does he need to defeat Kim Jong-un?
Yeah,
it's like yeah. He's completely popping off. It's like he had the only time he's played bad was when he's masked up on stage, which implies that there's like, so he has some illness or something, or he's sick. And it's like the first opening series, like the one they lost against KD, he didn't perform that well, but that was like a mask series. But throughout the entire year, like Duro has been absolutely like a machine. It's kind of like, reminds me of, I remember like when Kanavi, like when Milky Way and Kanavi were both like smurfing their face off at the same time. It was like Kanavi is having like one of the best splits ever in his career in terms of how much he's carrying. But then it just happens to be like Milky Way just happens to have like a crazy split. And Duro, in the context of being on Gen.G with these superstars and at the same time Carrier being as good as he was for the majority of the year, is the only thing that like takes away from it. But in different circumstances, different contexts, like this is like insane how well he's played. And like you mentioned, Gen.G's coaching staff, like or scouting in terms of like they did the same with Delight. Like they picked up Delight, and suddenly Delight has been like a household name in the Korean support sphere, because for the longest time there was a big hole in terms of the supports in Korea. Like that was like a big problem. Yeah. It was like Mata went into retirement and then occasionally like subbed in because T1 had effort as their support. Like if that doesn't signify like the issues of the region, because that was like the transition period. It's like, oh, Gorillas is playing worse, Mata doesn't want to play anymore and is moving in that direction. It's like filling those voids was a tricky time.
Here's the statement that shows you that was the weak era, because that's one of the reasons I do believe actually that like G2 was able to beat T1 that year in 2019. Mickey X was actually better than fucking whoever you had, Matter or Effort. He was just better than those players. Sounds mad, but yeah, a Western player could be better. Mate, think about just the lineage of Gen.G fucking support. They had Lehens into Delight, into Duke. Mate, they have had some there are some really good supports in Korea. We've got to give it up to them. And people even forget, by the way, Kale from the LPL's Korean. Like, it's actually like a renaissance. I'm with you. It's a renaissance of support play, mate.
No, it's just to hammer home, because like the Mickey X point is like Mickey and Hilly at certain points in time were like the best supports in the world, and that's something that you can't say about like other roles. It props to them, but also showcases the times, you know, yes, of where we're at, you know, with LPL supports and LCK supports. They were like on and off over there. It's like we had like players like fucking. I don't even want to remember the supports that Jackie Love had to play with at the World Championship. Like those were the supports that were sent in,
bombs,
you know?
Mate. Those are some bombs, I can tell you right now. Absolutely.
Again, Baolan World Champ, baby.
By the way, I also have a question as well, which is why in that specific comp, the last question about the draft, why did they do the Maokai pick for Kerry on that comp, mate?
It's just I like
what do you think the logic is?
The slot in should be Nautilus into Rakander, Because it's like locking Maokai there, like the only reason you would ever do so is if you're considering putting it jungle. But it's like you have owner and carrier, like that's your team. Like the only, like if there's no nameplate, it's like, oh, they're picking it because they want to flex it into jungle and they want to see the options here. Like that's like the only like angle. But they are obviously not leveraging that. Like if owner was playing Maokai, I would be just as furious as carrier playing this. Because Nautilus should be the better direct matchup into Rakan, and it is something that Carrier plays. So it just seemed so ill-informed, because it's like picking it into orange showing. It's like it just blocks it with W, and it's whatever, the ult. It's like, it's very, very strange. I don't know if it's like one of those things where T1 got so much data and they just deciphered it so poorly. Because KT, when they beat Gen.G in their game 5, they also picked Maokai support with the Wukong Maokai 1-2, and that was the angle. And they also checkmated D+ with the Silas, and then they picked Ramos on 5 because they were so deep in their mind about Maokai support. But I think they've gotten it so twisted about this data that they've had from all the games they perceived about the Ziggs and also the Maokai. Like those are the two ones that really, really stand out in terms of like a team just reaching the completely wrong conclusions.
This is where I wish every team in the world did the remain from G2 and released the scrim data after the split. Because here's what I would love to see. If I had to bet, I would actually bet that during this playoff run, T1 scrim Gen.G a bunch, because they weren't going to play them until like the final, upper bracket final, basically on paper. And I would imagine they must have lost loads of these scrims, bro. Because this looks to me, I always do this thing, Yamato, where I try to be as fair as possible to coaches, which is because I can't know what they're making the decision of. I will try and ask, is there a reasonable course of like speculation as to how they genuinely thought this made sense to do, even though it might look really silly with no explanation? So when I look at a draft like where you arrived at, both in the series in general, but especially the game 5, that looks to me like you already tried the original T1 approach, which is in the meta, you pick the things you're strong at and your comps that you can pilot, and you want, and in Fearless, you can't always guarantee you get the whole comp, but you want at least like the 3 main champions that make it work. You know, like for example, that's why the Yorn pick was so bizarre. You can't then have the poke comp. Like that might have made some vague sense with the Maokai and a poke comp. It doesn't in this one. So what that says to me, Yamato, is you probably already tried that in scrims. It just didn't work. And in fact, maybe it looked really bad and you couldn't ever get any either. So instead, what you've done is you've actually done the dark side of drafting in Fearless, which is what like we all point out, which is you just try and ruin the draft for the other guy. You're not necessarily drafting some awesome for yourself, but you just try to do Yu-Gi-Oh! And hope that if you do A, he does B, and then you can do C, and then he has to do D. And then maybe in game 5, you suddenly come in with like 2 lanes that make sense for you, and you just pray that it's a solo queue game and you get ahead early. That for real, that essentially, I don't actually put like diss T1 coaches super hard for game. That looks to me like just desperation, man. Like you just have no clue what you're doing left. And actually, the genius of it, this is why now we can flip and talk about Gen.G, is Gen.G all year long has done this, bro, in these game 5s. Their game 5 strategy is actually T1-esque of past years. They just sort of go, who gives a shit about the meta and the whole drafting strategy? Let's just pick things we think we'll be strong on. Let's just get our best players onto strong champions and then just win one game. Like they've almost like ignored normal drafting strategy. I think Gen.G has a crazy record in these game 5s, bro. It's nuts. Like it's actually one of the reasons why I do feel way more confident this year's Gen.G wins worlds than the past ones. The past ones I was always scared when it went to game 5, mate. I wanted them to just 3-0, super fed early on, front run, never look back, never be in danger in the draft. Now I actually feel like, mate, these guys, this is the team you want in a foxhole, mate. If you're in a tough spot, these guys just pull it out, mate. And I love the fact that they're just going with strength as well. I think it's awesome.
I just the fact that they've made it through Fearless. It's like they are so meta proof that I don't think there's going to be like any major meta changes that can actually like throw them off. They've showcased they can play anything. It's like that game 5.
It also, as you've pointed out on many episodes, we all wondered how it would affect Chovy. If anything, it's made him look as a player, he doesn't carry as much, he doesn't get his best champions. But in the draft, he's OP as fuck, mate. He plays everything. He can just pivot to anything, seemingly.
Even in this one, it's like that Cassiopeia game was the first Cassio game he's ever played, which was his 65th champ that he's ever played. Super cool to see. It's like just to finalize, to hammer home, because T1 don't have that depth, and the reason why I'm harsh on the coaching staff is because if you flip like the nameplates, and T1 were playing the champions Gen.G landed on, they would be amazing. Like, it would be great.
Yep.
It's like Ornn for Doran, Rakan, Lucian. It'd be like, oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So like in that game, everything was just so available, but they just like completely just shattered themselves in the cooking department. But as we mentioned, it's like sometimes the data that comes in, you try to decipher it, and you end up like scared about so many different things that you end up with this shit. It's like, oh, we're afraid of Maokai.
You had first pick, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
How did you end up with this draft? What is this? I know. It's mad, isn't it? It's so bad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here's what's funny, by the way, Yamato. I don't know if people know this, but obviously now Gen.G will play against KT in a rematch. Bro, this is how much nobody respects KT. Even though KT just beat Gen.G, if you go onto the betting websites, KT is like a 5-1 underdog. No one believes they're going to win this game, bro. Nobody. And low-key, I sort of get it, because I do feel like what's going to happen that's going to make this series different is Gen.G is just going to draft completely differently in that match themselves as well, mate. They're not going to fuck around. Like, if anything, KT showed their hand, mate. Like you saw against Hanwha Life. Like, they're not actually that good. That was like a one-off. That was the any given Sunday factor. Once you reach a certain level, and you have to have a couple of players to perform. Obviously, you can't just be BDD, had to be Cos in this case. Once you have a couple of players play well enough, there is a component where sometimes you can just win. But I don't know. I'm sort of with the betters, mate. I don't think they can replicate. I think it's going to be. Look, sadly, it's not Gen.G T1, but it's going to be Gen.G Hanwha Life. There's going to be a match we've seen quite a lot this year. It was actually the unofficial finals of the other fucking tournaments. Like, well, that's probably going to be the final fight, I guess. I am interested to see who'll win that one, though. But what are your thoughts? What about KT versus Gen.G? Thoughts?
It should be very Gen.G favored. I would be very surprised if Gen.G just don't win everything straight up. I think that KT in particular, I think their biggest advantage was that they had a just a great draft read off of the patch that came into playoffs. They always landed on the right champions, whether it was Wukong. Like now we have a scenario where Wukong gets permabanned, and they had very, very good support priorities. They were one of the few teams that started picking ADC in the 1, 2, 3. A lot of the teams that played against them just dropped ADC full 5, which meant that Yoktam was landing on like good Zaya spots, good Corki spots, even good Zig spots too. And I think with that in mind, KT kind of figured out the pattern to draft in ahead of everybody else. This is something that T1 struggled with. D Plus don't have the same like champion depth as them, and I do think that Gen.G have enough data now to just set themselves up for success, because they can challenge those champions. They can pick away those champions, and I also think that they are a team, especially with like looking as they lock in Nocturne on 5. This is not the Canyon that is slamming Nidalee in game 5, like regardless of the state of the champ. I feel like Gen.G is aware of where their level is at. I think the Canyon as well, he's had periods as a player where he's like, you know what, guys, I'm going to just pick Maokai. I'm going to pick Sejuani. I'm going to pick Nocturne. I'm not playing well now, and I don't need to do too much to win. And I think this is the mode he's going to be in. He's going to be there to pick away champions from Cuz, which is something that you can do. And then I think Gen.G is just going to just leverage their bot lane prior, which they've had throughout the series, to just put pressure on BDD. And I think the main thing is, like in terms of Chovy's form, I do think that BDD is still like looking like he's part of like better.
Yeah.
And that could be like the entry point. But it's just so hard to imagine that this shit happens twice. Like that was a horror series from Canyon. And even though Canyon didn't play so well against T1, I do think he looked a little bit better. And I think that a little bit better is already enough, because a lot of things needed to go right for KT to even win that series. I remember that game 5 that Engage from Cuz, where he just managed to get second Wukong ult off with no HP. Props to them, but I don't think shit like that happens twice.
Especially because, like, it's not like they 3-0'd them, mate. It was a really hard-fought 3-2 series. And this is the one part that makes me not believe in KT at all. That was like the life series for fucking Doctor, mate. That was his dream. Like, that's not only is that not happening twice, that didn't happen against Hanwha Life, I'll tell you that much. Like, mate, the Hanwha Life series was ass from KT. Like, at best, they were sort of like vaguely in one or two of the games, like early, but never like with big lead. They were just vaguely in the games. Like, and every time it got to the mid and late game, it was just all Hanwha Life, mate. They were going to win every big objective, every big team fight. Like, if I'm Hanwha Life, I'm so hyped after this fucking upper bracket run. I probably believe I'm going to win the fucking split, mate. And then win both of them this year. Like, why not? And look, I don't think they will necessarily. I want to see that Gen.G series, but I can't believe how underwhelming KT was, though. Like, this is where you do realize, yeah, it was a one-off. They just had an awesome day against Gen.G. Like you say, they had a few edges in the draft. They maybe got ahead of the thinking on the patch. They got the right champions. They had two, like, Cuz slightly overperformed, Doctor mega overperformed, and then you had to have the insane BDD. Like it can't happen again. But what about this upper bracket final? What did you think of this match?
No, I think Hanwha Life, props to Dandy and Mowgli, honestly, because I think their prep work against T1 and also against KT was just phenomenal. Like they recognize what they need to attack, like removing the Azir, targeting the Wukong, and just having the right priorities. I think like Zeka's form, like he's just so steady and so consistent. Like he's playing super good.
Yeah.
Like this Zeka form reminds me a lot of like the last time they won the LCK, not the LCK Cup, but last year when they won, where Zeka was just so damn steady, where he doesn't do any mistakes, pushes out really good numbers.
And this isn't the old he only plays Akali and well, mate, he's playing all the meta champions, yeah.
He's playing like Orianna smurfing, he's playing Twisted Fate, he's smurfing. He's locked in, and Peanut is actually like contributing to the game, and they're making sure to give space to make sure that the Light and Peanut land on the same champions, and then if they have the engine between the objectives working, well, then you have fucking Viper and Zeus on your side, and they have managed to figure out how to play their mid game, which is massive. I like the Camille for the Light too. Like anything that he plays outside of the regular champions. And he performs on, I think is a massive plus for them. I do think that Hanwha Life looks very dangerous, but it's one of those things. It's like Hanwha Life has struggled against Gen.G the entire time, and that matchup tends to look different than the other matchups. That's why it's so hard to imagine, because I do think that Hanwha Life have shown a higher quality of games, because they 3-0, like they are really, really in tune with what they need to do. I just think that Gen.G now have gone through the right amount of hardships, and at the same time, Hanwha Life has laid out the blueprint for how to beat the teams that they need to beat in order to make the finals. And before Hanwha Life actually beat Gen.G, it's hard for me to believe that they will. But I can give Hanwha Life the props that in terms of prep work and in terms of like individual form right now, they look pretty damn crispy. But my main issue is that I don't think that the players, especially like Peanut, is going to capitalize on a Canyon underperforming.
And by the way, this speaking of fucking supports out of smurfing, Delight also, he had times this year where he looked like Fearless wasn't hitting him, bro. He's had a fucking awesome playoff so far. This guy looks cracked. I always thought he's the player where in history, you can't just look at his game, PD. You've got to realize they didn't actually kick him out of Gen.G because he was worse. They just did it because they thought since they were losing Peanut, they had to bring in Lens as the shot caller. Like, I always thought on paper, that's one of the moves that if you're GM, you hate to do, bro. He was awesome that first year on Gen.G, and he was awesome at Worlds. He was probably their best player at that Worlds, mate. Like, I always felt sad for him because, look, now thankfully he's on a team where he's in finals, he can win again, but that player, like, actually got sort of hard done by. Like, I do think he is one of the most, like, slept-on players. He is unbelievable, Delight. I think he's a really fucking high up player. The problem is he exists in the era of Carrier, so you don't get the same props, unfortunately.
Yes, sir.
He's the original Duro in that sense.
Like, I imagine as well, it's like the Gen.G budget had to be like tightened to make these like rosters work. And it's like I think the big incentive for the players to join here is to just play with each other because they're all insane.
Hanwha Life's the one.
Hanwha Life is throwing cash, you know.
Fans don't get this. T1 spends, but mainly on Faker. Gen.G actually runs semi-budget rosters, if people don't know. Like every year, like one or two people have to join and not get that much, supposedly. Hanwha Life's actually the big money spenders, if people don't realize. They're the ones that are like the fucking ones who spend the bazillion in football every offset. They're the ones who can just do it. Yeah, that's why they have ended up eventually with a super team of their own. And actually, that's also the cool thing about the Hanwha Life narrative, bro. After the first LCK Cup and first stand, they were underwhelming the whole year, mate. They never ever got there. I mean, obviously, the joke is they actually made a fool of themselves at EWC. Like, that was really fucking embarrassing. So I do think it's insane that, like, you had this on-paper super team, but it just was never playing like it in the meat of the year. Now, all of a sudden, it looks good. Like, here's the comment we never could talk about in the past episodes. bro, another thing that now has to be reinserted into the big narrative for Worlds is Hanwha Life can win Worlds. The team playing like this could win Worlds, mate.
Yeah, for sure. It's also so interesting to follow, like, how winning can ease up so much. It's like, I think the tensions and all of the issues that they're dealing with after, you know, the problems of course, the road to MSI, where they got reverse swept and got 3-0'd. It's like beating a team that is underperforming can do so much in unlocking you again, because it's just like a weight off your shoulders. Like, we can actually beat these guys. It's like, regardless of the state of the enemy team, psychologically that can make like a massive difference. And it's like in that context too, it's like T1 underperforming might have been like the biggest blessing ever for Hanwha Life. Because let's say there's a world where Hanwha Life just play against a good T1 and they lose there. Maybe that's just nothing, and they would just show nothing, and they wouldn't even be like a strong third. Maybe they lose to KT too because they're just in the wrong headspace. So Hanwha Life, they've been blessed by this bracket, and I think that they are paying back. Like, they look pretty damn good. And this roster, it's like at the beginning of the year when we had that conversation, we were like, this is dream GMing done. But the GMing that was done, and us, we couldn't predict that Fearless would be the thing the entire year. Riot fucked everybody up with that shit.
Right, being as the finals is this weekend, tell me now, before we even have the low bracket game, does Gen.G do the low bracket run and win the split?
Yes, sir. They got it, man. They got it.
I know what you mean, because unfortunately, I do feel like the other reason why I was actually so convinced this is the year that Gen.G wins everything is they look like they have the joke is, on paper, the second best team is supposed to be Hanwha Life, and Gen.G matches up awesome with that team, bro. Like, T1, fully enough, is the one that has like the past psychological scars. They have like the clutch out factor. Hanwha Life, when they just play, they just flat up get beaten every time Gen.G play. Like, they even look like they have the worst thing, which is it looks like Hanwha Life doesn't think they can win those games, mate. I feel like they have the emotional drop. Because I'm with you. I think they do the low bracket run and win it, mate.
If anything, right? If anything, it needs to be a repeat of what we saw last year, where Zeka was just the better player over Chovy in the finals. Like, in terms of Zeka's form right now, it's not entirely impossible because Chovy is not super sharp either. But the main thing that was the big difference maker is that Gen.G have a play style that really rely on everybody performing like insanely high, because they play very isolated. They read information and read play movements super well to steal waves and to farm in isolation, which allows everybody to just do their own thing. And then if the enemy tries to invest resources into shutting down a Chovy, the effort it takes to do that will allow everybody else to pounce and to take away camps and to take towers. They always kind of suffocate you, that regardless of the game state, Gen.G tend to be just ahead on gold. Like, even in the worst losing games, they just tend to be ahead on gold. I remember that game they played against, of course, KT that they lost. It was like the scoreline was like 6-17 and they were ahead on gold. Sure, they had Twisted Fate, but even in that context, it's crazy to even fathom. And the main thing that stood out when they played against, of course, Gen.G last time was that Peanut and Delight was so damn sharp at just pressuring into Zeka's lane and just making sure there's 3 people on Chovy permanently. And then at the point where Zeka was strong enough to beat him on site, they left him in isolation and Chovy couldn't do the Chovy thing. But now the main issue is, in comparison to last year, is that Gen.G now they're just a Hydra with 5 heads. It's like, you try to do that to Chovy, it's not the only thing that you need to care about, because Kiin, Canyon, usually, of course, Ruler too, they are demons. In the past, there was a Paze that wouldn't be as dangerous later on in the game, in a game 5 that would decide everything. But Ruler has had series where he carried Chovy over the finish line, because that's just who he is. That's just who he is. So it's going to be tough, but it's going to be super interesting. I'm happy that Hanwha Life is playing good. I think it's going to be close, but Gen.G favored.
And I'll also say this, being as of right now, you would actually favour T1 even if they play IG or Weibo or in theory, they should probably be favoured to make Worlds. Like, they've just, especially because internationally, they're just so good. I actually also think that the LCK is sending some, like, look, the KT one, like, props to BDD. That's not going to be a good team at Worlds, in my opinion. Like, I'd even be surprised. That might even be the team that fucks up the Swiss stage. Who knows, right? But maybe they make the quarters. The difference is, I actually think the other three teams he's sending are going to make Worlds awesome, because Gen.G's a legit can win Worlds. Hanwha Life, I'll tell you what, if they actually can keep their shit together, they should be able to match up with all the LPL. So that's interesting in itself. And then T1's just your crazy dark horse. Let's see if they can pull some miracle out. That's kind of a cool set of teams to send. There's one big storyline I have to bring up, though. You hinted at it earlier. Is, mate, even though Gen.G might end up winning this split, the player who has been the most carried is fucking Canyon, bro. Like, so this guy's fallen off so hard. Like, it's crazy. These last few series have been really bad. Like, I've seen some games I never thought. Again, this is the guy who has, like, the double lift component where he's allowed to, like, fall in the regular split. We don't blame him, because we just go, it's all right. He always gets it together in playoffs, you know. Maybe he's one of those people. Maybe he's a Balotelli type guy where you have to let him be a bit silly, but then you know he'll try when it really matters, you know. He's being ass at the moment. Like, that would be my biggest concern going to Worlds if I'm Gen.G at the moment. Is this guy has to play better, because think about it, right? Him actually at MSI, they needed him to be awesome. That was like a jungler's fucking tournament, mate. So I feel like he has to turn it around. Like, this is bad at the moment.
This is supposed to be his meta too. It's like, yeah, Kiana coming through. Like, we are seeing Tarzan doing mad shit. Like, if there's anybody who stands out like as the best performing jungler, it's Tarzan in the world right now.
You mean, mate, Kanavi and Tarzan are fucking smurfing loads of their games. Yeah, they're looking super sick. So where's Canyon at, bro? This is your time.
Yeah. This is supposed to be his moment to step up, and yeah, it's been disappointing. Like, he's definitely done exactly how you framed it. It's like he's been chilling. Like, even in some of Gen.G's like record splits, it's like, oh, what is? It was like this running meme in my stream where every time Gen.G played, the enemy would get first blood because Canyon just wouldn't do anything. Like, he would play as if he's on a phone call.
Think how insane Gen.G are. They can have like an undefeated split before the playoffs, and then like their superstar GOAT jungler, like, he was just all right. It's like, how stacked is this team? This team, because it's, by the way, low key, Duro's just been saving this guy's arse the whole fucking split, hasn't he? Like, he just smurfs and everyone's like, I guess the MVP's Chovy again. Like, like, because I love Chovy, but he isn't the MVP of every game. I'm with Dom. I actually think one of the coolest things about Gen.G is literally on paper, all 5 players can now actually contend for best in the world at their fucking role. That is so sick. That's why in some ways it would actually be fitting if this was the greatest lineup to ever play League. I also thought similarly with JDG, that's also an amazing roster, that one from 2023 if you look at it. But also on paper and in the server now, this team is fucking cooking. Like, this team looks like they should be meta proof. They can play through any lane. The fucking jungle and the support now are dope, although admittedly the jungle's having his problems. But you'd imagine he gets it together for Worlds, hopefully, and he has an ace on, and then we have to have an awesome Worlds.
100%. I feel like this should be the most predictable one due to the component that is Fearless. Like, I don't think there's going to be any massive patches that is going to throw us off. It's just like every other time we've had Warmog's armor supports or like ADC mid laners. Like, sure. we've had some, like, really.
I've just had a realization, Yamato. If I really want to get rid of Fearless, I know how I can do it. I need public support. I need the appearance that everyone demands Fearless scores. Do you know what I'm going to do? Finally, the darkest alliance of all. So if people don't, they're on my side now, Yamato. When T1 wins nothing this year and doesn't even win Worlds, or God forbid they lose that 4th place game to Rookie, by the way, T1 fans, 1-800-TRUCKS, please. Get the trucks. Tell them Fearless is what ruined League. Say you won't watch LCK anymore. Fearless still exists. So they'll all panic, and we might be able to get rid of it, boys. That's the only way we're getting rid of it. I have to take the evil orc force and turn them against the fucking... I have to align with the darkness. I'm Saruman now. It's just necessary, Yamato. So the only way we can get rid of it... Because low-key, surely if you're a T1 fan, you should be the number 1 set of people that want Fearless gone. Like, with your... By the way, with the team you've got, if this was standard draft, you could actually win all these tournaments for real. Like, you already could anyway, but I think you would have a way better chance. Like, if Faker every game could just opt into, like, Orianna, Azir, Vict... Mate, you would win so many more of these games. If Gumayusi could just pick all his picks all the time, you'd have so so many more wins. If people had to actually ban normal supports against Keria, you would win loads of games. So I have to say, Fearless, I think it's unfortunate hit these guys like a freight train. Like, yeah, they survived it for a while, but it's gotten fucking bad now. So low key, you should be the number one people who want to go back to standard. You actually had your chances then, boys. Oh, right. I tell you what, though, Yamato. Since we talked before about basically this is just the ad segue. Let's just do the ad segue. There you go.
All right, yeah, that was one of the weakest
I'm
ones
tired,
ever.
mate. Let's keep going. I've got loads of shit to do today. Go on.
Yeah. You know how it is. You know, everyone lives a busy life. Every hour matters. You know, sometimes people want to compromise sleep, which is of course super important for health. People want to compromise on other things as you feel like you have no time in life. And then you have to add on top of that healthy nutrition and making sure that you have meals. It's very easy to fall into bad habits because you don't have access and sometimes not energy. And of course, that's where Factor Meals comes in and saves the day. You get all your nutrition covered. You get to make all the choices that you want to do. Maybe there's certain things that you don't like. I'm not a zucchini man. So I just say, no zucchini, please, Factor Meals. And they got me covered. More variety, more meals you can choose from. A wider selection of weekly meal options, including, of course, premium seafood choices. I'm a big salmon guy. You can even go shrimp at no extra cost. Usually, you know, seafood, very expensive. Here, no extra cost. Support your wellness goals. That's super important. You know, it's like knowing your macros and your micros can be super important, and making sure that, you raise the floor of your nutrition. So you don't sit there, on a Saturday where you're tired eating Funyuns because that's the only thing you have in your fridge, or not in your fridge, but in your cupboard. Sure. You need to make sure that you have Factor Meals. If you have your Funyuns in your fridge, I don't know what you're doing. Then you really need help, So you can savor, of course, global flavors. I like this. The other week, I had this tandoori chicken that was just like tremendous. It's like, I don't know how to cook tandoori chicken. You think I'm gonna buy all those spices and go through like one of those cooking videos and be all confused? Like that sounds like one of those meals that you're just bound to screw up, and you just pop that in the microwave. Really, really easy. You can try Asian-inspired meals with both flavors influenced by China, Thailand. I mentioned, of course, India as well. There's a lot of great option. For more choices to better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. And I mentioned saving time. You also save time on the back end too, because if you have good nutrition, you also live longer. So it's, this is just, people say time is money. Well, this is the best bang for your buck that you're gonna get. So eat smart at factormeals.com/LFN50 off, and use code, of course, LFN50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's crazy. I need to tell my neighbor to do the deal again so I can get the deal again, with the deal. But maybe that's not allowed. I'm not giving you ideas. That's all on you. 50% of your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchases. Obviously, if you convince your neighbor to get it and you steal their meals, like that's up to you, because that's a different subscription. So I guess that would work. Use Factor Meals, use our code LFN50 off, and of course support the channel and make improvements to your general health and lifestyle, and save a lot of time in your day-to-day and still eat delicious meals. There you go.
If I'd have had some Factor breakfast, maybe I would have come up with a better segue. But unfortunately, I forgot to have my breakfast because we had to do this so early. So as a result, I'm running on fumes. I'm like a T1 drafting coach right now. I'm just desperately grabbing for anything I can and hoping someone else carries my ass. So
the Factor Meals could have saved T1. Like
you're the owner of this show at the moment right now, mate. I'm fake and just desperately like, please, can I lock in anything? I used to be good. Does anyone still like me? Anyone? Anyway, whatever. Right, so let's talk about the LPL, bro. Because as you pointed out, sadly, I actually feel like this must have crushed the LPL viewership. Like, everyone was watching Gen.G T1, weren't they? Because obviously, like, no matter who wins or loses, it's super hype, the drama there. Whereas the problem in the LPL was both the teams in the final, even though, yes, if you look at the totality of the summer split, they were the two best teams overall. Like, if you look, obviously BLG had all the jungle changes, which makes it harder to judge. But TES, it's like I told people, they only have two modes. They're not even a spectrum. They're just a switch. The switch is be insane and just mechanically shit on everyone, or be utterly dreadful at the game and be incapable of winning it. Like, there's no fucking there. Well, when you had these two teams come to the final, the problem is there's not a sexy storyline really for anyone winning. It's why afterwards, yeah, there's the whole night won the most ones ever, etc. But if you go back to earlier this year, BLG was never even supposed to win a split. Like, they weren't even the dominant team. They weren't able to take the narrative of almost won worlds with the exact same roster were coming back. And obviously they lost Jordan, they've had the jungler swaps, then they've had players just play. By the way, most of the players have played worse in the team. Actually, in fact, even Knight himself wasn't good, but in general, he's been the best player. So coming into this finals, I just don't feel like it was as hype as past ones have been, But I tell you what, I actually thought this final was pretty good, though. I did actually thought it was a pretty good match. What were your thoughts overall?
No, I really, really enjoyed it. Like the playoffs kind of played out in a way that I kind of expected in terms of like how the matchups go. Was like Bilibili is just the worst enemy for top esports. I think Bilibili, the main change-up they've done, especially in preparation for top esports, it's like Bilibili is capable of playing a very strong early game, which top esports hates. Like, top esports is not going to come back like in an intelligent way from a deficit. They're going to fight their way out of a deficit.
Yeah.
And Bilibili is welcoming that. So it's like in that department, they're very, very happy.
They're two teams who love to team fight all the fucking time, aren't they? True.
But at the same time, Bilibili were also very capable of just like taking air out of the game and slowing it down just a little bit, because top esports tend to be the team that overreach in those moments. So Bilibili, I felt like throughout the series, even coming into game 5, because I did think the top esports draft was very good. I was like, oh, they have the Annie Lee Sin combo into Akali. There should be a very hard night game to play. That's where some of the question marks in terms of like the pressure, them dealing with that, because you could really see the brilliance of Knight and Bin in that game 5 and why they're considered not just elite, but the elite of the elite. It's like world finalist type elite, that's like a little step above. And the poise they just played in that game 5, it's as if they came into that match and they believed that they were destined to win. It's like it brings me back to that comment the Bin did some time ago where AL won, and it's like, spring split doesn't fucking matter. It's like it's about summer.
Well, I've got to say that. Listen, that sounded silly at the time. It sounds pretty dope now. I can't lie. Doesn't pretty baller.
Now it's pretty sick indeed. And this series, like the way I would describe top esports is like the perfect analogy in my mind. Is like they are basically like Francis Ngannou. They have no jiu-jitsu, no wrestling. They just have firepower. But it's like top esports might have the best team fighting in the world, but in terms of their setup for the team fight, how they are there, how they're there ahead of time. Like, I don't know how many times top esports start a fight with one person getting caught, and they're like, all right, let's fight this 4v5, and then they win anyway because of how they like just execute. But that's the scary part about top esports, is that if they play against an opponent, they can either slam really, really tough early games or slow down the game in any shape or form and be more focused on the setups. That's why top esports always look so bad against like the Korean teams, because they are the masters of this in terms of the setup. That's where the contention is in the LCK. But top esports just balls to the wall, fight. And this series, to me, like that game 5 was so impressive from Bilibili. But other than that, it's like game 2, there was like the Ezreal Karma lock-in. I was like, okay, if Ezreal Karma gets ahead in this game, they're going to suffer. This is a classic for Elk and on. And I felt like the series was very predictable up until that game 5, because I really thought top esports had a draft that would work for them. But that's just where we got reminded of how good Bin and Knight really can be.
And also, I've got to say, this is another example for me of how weird the LPL can be. Because another area, like if you told me that, bro, the series is literally going to start with Beichuan for BLG, then I would be like, okay, I think I know which player from top esports I need to see have a good series. Kanavi, it's your time, bro. And the problem was, like, he was having a good time, but the difference is Shadow came back in and didn't matter what Kanavi did at that point in time. I'm with you, by the way, that's the most underrated part about the Bin angle, is the real reason why with BLG, the problem is over a series, I don't think they have like the best macro in the world. I don't think they're even the best necessarily at drafting. They have flaws as a team, not just in jungle. But the key thing is, if you have players like Knight and Bin, and by the way, if you have 2 of them, if you can just ever get to a game 5, that it's possible to win that game 5 against anyone, mate. Like those 2 players are like, because as you say, the thing I love about those 2 players, mate, it's actually why in the regular season they sometimes toss games away and lose. They always go for the knockout punch, mate. These guys, if they were boxers, they just throw haymakers all day long. In fact, their logic, even if they, in the analogy of a boxing match, even if they're getting peppered up by jabs and fucking wrecked all over the place, they're still going for that crazy knockout. And if someone like Bin lands it, mate, he hits so hard, it is crazy. It's nuts. Like, look, you have one on TES as well. You have Jakulov. If Jakulov does the same thing, you can win any fucking game. If that guy goes off, you saw it against anyone's legend. You can win any game. But the thing is, this is why you can never 100% write off BLG. I do still think it is bizarre that they've won, but even in this series, they showed they still have concerns about their jungle position. Like, Shadow gets to win the LPL, but he essentially only came in a la Bengi style because the other jungler was fucking up and they don't believe in Beichuan. But then that obviously begs the question about why was Beichuan starting? So even though they've won the LPL, I have to ask that question. What do you think about the jungle situation? Also, do you have a preferred jungler? Would you pick one over the other?
I don't know. It's so damn freaky because whoever starts sucks and whoever finishes is just playing well. That has been Bilibili's story throughout the playoffs, which is absurd. It was the same. It's like we had the previous series where top pieces played Bilibili. It was the same. Beichuan started and then Shadow came through and then suddenly just popped off on the Xin Zhao. And Shadow in this Sejuani game 5 was also tremendous. Like Shadow has a very specific style, which I think is enabled after a couple of the OP champions are out. Like I would not want to see, for example, Shadow play like a Wukong. Even though Wukong is very powerful in the patch and very OP, I do think that he is a lot better when he gets to play the Jarvan, the Sejuani, the Xin Zhao, more like a Peanut-esque champion pool, where he has opportunities to be active, because this Bilibili team will forever be, with this core, will forever be, you get leads onto Elk, Knight, or Bin, and they will carry better than most junglers will. So you just set up your jungler to give them leads, and that's going to be good, but sometimes metas are not going to allow that. We saw that when they played the whole split with Beichuan, there were too many games against AL where Tarzan was just like naturally 40, 50, 60 CS ahead. Yeah. Because Beichuan was like just scrambling for things that just weren't there. And doing so in certain contexts too, like if the jungle matchup is Jarvan versus Xin Zhao and you have Shadow versus Kanavi is not going to dominate that game. Jarvan's going to be able to clear his camps and there's not going to be any type of pressure he can exude, similar to what we saw where, for example, we played Silas against, of course, the Morgana of Beichuan. So it's always like very, very matchup dependent. I think Beichuan is a way worse version of some of the other carry players in my mind, but still he's capable of playing the carries better than Shadow. But when those carries are out of the picture, I think Shadow becomes a much better player in the context of course, the more, let's say, active junglers that can be more supportive and set up leads for your teammates.
What did you think, though, of the drafting from TES? Do you think they gave themselves the appropriate chance in this final?
I did think in that game 5, like the way they landed, the Nico, Lee Sin, Annie into the Akali, I was like, damn, oh wow, they have a draft. I was like, I lost money there. I'm gonna be honest. It's like I came into that series thinking Bilibili should win because I think they just match up so well. But when I saw Bilibili having Akali in a game that is very hard to execute Akali because of the amount of CC, and then Jace, Jace is a champion that has been completely cursed and just been a plague on so many drafts, and then Bin out of like Bin is a strong Jace, he's a good Jace, he's just a good player, but I didn't expect him to be like, damn, are you just currently the best Jace in the world? Where we have so many good Jace players, is that what it is? Because that was like one of the craziest Jace performances ever, because it's so subtle. Like a good Jace game is so subtle because you need to be on time on objectives and also farm when everything in the game can kill you. That's why most Jace players go 0-6 or they're completely useless, because you are so delicate. You're like a gentle flower that needs to grow, it needs to be watered, and somehow he executed. He never died on side. And then he was just there early on the objectives, poking and then just breaking the fights before they even started. I don't know how many times you had a situation where Bilibili is like, oh, Sejuani ult onto Nico, EQ of Jace, the fight doesn't happen at all, which is like so rare in the LPL, especially with these two teams, where a fight is decided before it starts, because usually the fight just turns out into an all-out brawl almost always. So, I thought Top East was had it in that game 5, and I thought, on the drafting side, they did completely fine. It's just that Bilibili was just so damn good in that game 5.
Also, I've got to say, bearing in mind, he obviously has had some success in the LPL. I actually think in general in the final, bearing in mind Knight was mega, I thought actually Cream gave a pretty good account for himself, mate. I think in general he's had a good playoff run. He's actually shown again. Look, again, I'll repeat the millionth time. We all know that he's had his problems internationally. Yes, maybe he will do it again and fail. But when a player plays that well domestically, mate, I pull for him to make it finally internationally and to break through after Tarzan-esque split where you're just actually really good and you get rid of it. Because this guy, like, he is a very good player, mate. He is. There's a reason he's a champion.
Oh, finally, we did like the Azir practice is paying off for both Cream and Knight. Like they are finally playing like good Azir games, which was good to see. I do think like Talia is something that is rough for Cream.
There's the joke. If Faker gets a Yawn skin, then if fucking Knight or Cream wins Worlds, they should take Azir. Fuck you. Doesn't make any sense, but why not? Just do it, bro.
Yeah.
At this point, just a troll at this point in time, Why not?
No, honestly, maybe that was like Faker's big fuck you to Chovy and the whole gang, like the fuck you next generation. I have the Yon skin, It's like maybe it was as vicious as you presented. Maybe it was. No, wait, this year was super fun. Like top esports stay true to themselves. It's like the stupidity of their ways is their charm. Like I can sit there and talk about how bad their setup is, but the whole identity of this team has been be so ridiculously active the entire year that you're going to be better than everybody else at it. And I have a deep respect for a team that is like going against the grain in such a way, because like even when Billy was the best team in the LPL last year, what they did after getting beaten by Gen.G is they modeled themselves around after Gen.G a lot. They swapped their jungler because Wei would support more a Gen.G-esque playstyle, and understandably so, because they went to an international final and lost. So obviously you want to take those learnings away. But top esports, they are doing their thing no matter what. They lose a certain way, they come back the next day, do the same shit. I respect that shit.
No, but it's where they are the people in the UFC where like they're the stand-up fighter that doesn't even try and learn jiu-jitsu, mate. It's like, listen, if I don't knock you out, then don't win the fight. But I'm just going to try even harder to knock you out. Like, I sort of fuck with you, man. I know what you mean. I respect like just staying in your own lane and doing your own shit. Like, whereas the difference is the way T1 tried to second get that's the most unsatisfying way to lose, because you feel like I didn't give myself a chance. Like, I just went on some weird, bizarre adventure in my mind of what would happen, and then all that happened. I just looked stupid, and at the end I lose, and I feel like I didn't even play the game. If you're top esports, you played the game, you just lost straight up. And you have to, for real, just tip your hat, as we say in English, to the other side. Like, mate, Knight wasn't losing today, mate. He was fucking smurfing on these guys. Like unironically, he's back in that conversation like best player in the world, mate. This guy's unbelievable. And obviously now it's historic. If people don't know, he has now actually solidified that he is alone as the player with the most LPL titles in history. He has won 6 times now. That is fucking insane. I hope people understand. When all those fans go, why do you always go on about Chovy and Knight? Well, first of all, do you watch their regions? They run them, bro. They're like the final boss of their regions. Like, yeah, mad props to Faker and T1 for clutching out at Worlds, etc. But these guys, every day of the year, almost that isn't the international final of Worlds, like, they are contender for best player in the world. Like, it's amazing, the run of form. And remember, the Knight one's even weirder because people do forget his early career. People think he's just like a product of the last couple of years. This guy has been for real smurfing on the LPL since like 2019, bro. It is crazy. That's why the funny thing is, I saw people on Reddit finally did this. You finally updated your fucking playbook. Stop doing the Faker versus Rookie thing, right? That's my angle. The real angle, if you want to attack Rookie, is could Knight and Chovy be better than him now? That's in the conversation now, because you know what? The same reasoning that I give for why I have Rookie as my best player of all time, which is the body of work, bro, the number of years he was the best. That's why every fan, I always know you didn't watch the LPL, when you keep thinking you're catching me out now that Rookie isn't the best. But if he's the best, bro, he was the best in the 2010s, you idiots. Like, that was the age ago. And a couple of years in the 2020s, he's still very good. He was the MVP, etc. But the point is, this guy's body of work is, you go like 2015 on for me, he's cooking every year, mate. He's like top 2 or 3 mid at minimum, if not the best. He's the best in the LPL, by the way, as well. That's why they are the MVPs. Like, Knight and Chovy have both done the same thing now. They've done this crazy stretch of years where in all the normal games, like 85% of the games you play in a year, they're just the best player in the server, mate. They're just unplayable. Like in this final, that's why I don't flame Cream. I actually give him props. I thought you had a good final in general. I don't know how you win this one, mate. Like again, and also another thing, actually, Knight. He always had a great champion pool. One of the things used to frustrate me about Knight is he himself would also draft quite limited sometimes, and he wouldn't always go into the strong picks. I think actually he's done really well in Fearless. He looks like he has an awesome champion pool too, mate. He can go really deep.
Oh, it's definitely. He's had he's like the depth of this guy has been phenomenal. Like I think ever since last year, I feel like that kind of reshaped him, and I think a big reason why they made it to the finals with the meta shifts is. Like he was capable of tagging along and trusting his gut, which of course has been like Faker's biggest edge against people is that like at the World Championship, he's willing to pivot in the direction of where the meta is going mid-series. Like to have the guts to do that is really, really fucking scary, and not a lot of players do it. And that was, of course, Chovy's biggest issue. But Knight was already like, even last year's, like the big reason they made it to the finals like them beating Hanwha Life, it came off of the back of,
yes,
I am the Ahri guy. Ahri got fucked by Sylas. I'm going to pivot now into picking Sylas, which is outside of my comfort.
Absolutely.
And then eventually, when Sylas was the one thing that was picked, he pivoted into the Galio lock-in, which was the big crescendo of course, the World Championship, was that Galio blind pick was just the best possible blind pick you could do. And on the other side, what Gen.G couldn't do was exactly that. It's like Chovy ended the tournament with only picking Ahri, like because that was his comfort. And in those moments, you gotta like take a leap of faith. And ever since that, I think for Fearless, it's like there's been like only Azir has been like the key champion for Knight that he doesn't play, but he's added that to the pool. And other than that, I don't think there's anything that stands out as a champion that Knight doesn't play. And I think the same thing can be said about Bin, just as a final thing. It's like this entire year has been a massive investment to Bin's champion pool. Because now we've been complaining, I've been complaining about stop playing Ambessa, stop playing Rumble, stop playing this fucking shit. But now at this point, like he's insane Jace, insane Rumble. It's an investment. And every Bin year has been like that, where he just ints on K'Sante for like 30 games straight, and then now he's like an insane K'Sante. So it's just, you gotta just follow along Bin on the journey, because he has a vision. He told us already, Summer Split is the one that matters, so we should have trusted him.
And for me, I know, obviously I won't recapitulate the whole Uzi argument, that essentially I think the Uzi people think was the greatest was a myth. Like, he was a very good player, but he was never, for me, the best player in the world. He was never even the best player in the LPL, if people go back. So I do think people will never give Knight his credit. He is the first, in my opinion, Chinese player since Wei Zhao that actually could be the best in the world. Like, that's significant. All the other players were Koreans. I'm sorry, they just were. That's just the way the game went. That's been the history. The joke is, even the LPL champions had the Korean solo laners. That's why I do feel like BLG winning Worlds, if it had been last year or this year, or if it had been won by JDG, the cool thing would have been you'd have had two Chinese solo laners win the tournament, which will be a first. So I do think Knight is actually underrated, believe it or not, even though he has this crazy state. And I'll give you an example of why. You also saw an angle in this game 5, bro, that he's mad underrated for. Do you remember when it would be JDG, and he was, for me, the signature fucking Nico mid lane player, because he could always get those ults off so sick. Like, his timing of when to sneak in and land the multi-man ult was insane. And then he'd just have like ruler and fucking clean up the team fight, basically. Mate, the Akali flank he did in this game 5. The same shit, bro. Like, his actual sort of like vision for when to make the play, but also his like poise to not like just flash in and fuck up or so. Like, his timing is impeccable, bro. He has like a really intuitive feel for the game. That was a dope play. That should be like a highlight of this year. I hope people watch it. If you don't watch the series, just go watch the game 5 and watch the Akali flank I'm talking about. It's baller. It's like the timing to pull that off is so sick. This guy's he's a god, mate.
I definitely brought me back to what you mentioned, like the JDG year, because it's like there was a solid portion of the year where the meta was like Annie, Lissandra, Nico mid, and there was nobody that was close to Knight. Chovy, Faker, it's like they had nothing. Like the person that was surprisingly the closest was Yagao. That was the homie that was the closest, because this style was the ultimate like Chinese mid lane play style that Xiaohu just pioneered because he wanted to set up Uzi for success. And the fact that Knight stays true to the roots and is capable of doing so much more, I think is a very cool part of the storyline, because like we saw the Vex from Chovy, but it's like Knight Vex. There were moments on JDG that were absolutely like just tremendous. People are gonna think back, yeah, but he had that Vex game at MSI last year that was trash. I was like, bro, there were different times altogether. It's like it's not the same meta as 2023.
No, I'm telling you, go watch that clip. That is like everyone's fantasy to do that in solo queue. He did it in Game 5 of the finals. That's fucking baller, mate. Like, that wasn't, even though the BLG had the lead, that's the fight that you can throw the game on, mate. If you fuck that up, like, that absolutely could be it. And by the way, if I'm TES, we look like our position is great, mate. We're going to win this fight. What are you talking about? Like, he just does it perfectly, mate. Everything is so flawless. Because that's also something that gets mad underrated. You know, the Reddit crowd, famous in League from time immemorial, since back in your day, mate. They always do that bullshit thing where any great player, they go, yeah, but he was up 2 levels and he had an extra item and he already had kills. And it's like, yeah, but the point is, even if you had that exact same scenario, you wouldn't have the balls to pull this play off. You wouldn't have the foresight to see it. You wouldn't have like I say, he didn't just go straight in. He didn't just see the fight start and then jump straight in like some people would on a flank. He actually timed it where he went in at exactly the moment where you're almost going to start to lose the fight, but also you're surprising them all by coming from behind, and you're already a fucking sick champion anyway to just kill everyone and execute them all. Like, that was dope as fuck. What do you think on the bigger picture? Like I said, though, now we have to like shadow box this guy against the all-time greatest players. Like, he deserves it. I mean, if you look at all these championships, Yamato, dare I say it, Faker has won some championships where he wasn't the best player. I think Knight's been pretty much, if not the best player, he's been the 1B or second best player on every. I'd say he is the best. Like, even when Ruler was there, I thought it was 1A, 1B for me. He's earned all his championships, mate. He's earned every MVP he's ever had. He's earned every championship, every world's qualification. This guy's just a stud. Where does he rank all time for you? Where does this start to make you imagine a world where he can go up in GOAT rankings and stuff?
I think yes. I think the fact that he was just on so many different teams, sure, with very good players, like players that everybody like is with, but when you have a player move between teams and that team just keeps winning, like that speaks for itself more than anything else in my mind. Sure, you can make the points like JGG dissolved and whatever, but it's like they kept some of the players, but they didn't look the same at all. They didn't look remotely close. Like, I don't know what has happened to Missing's career. Like Ruler was completely drained on that team, and so forth. But the fact that Knight, like ever since, like as you mentioned, 2019, there was like some finals there that he needed to overcome, like with his demons, with Yagao somehow like edging him out in the beginning. But then the moment like he just got the first. He just hasn't stopped. And I think Knight's international performances have also been really damn good. It's like he's been plagued by some horrible, like, teammates that are regarded as chokers due to those performances. And I don't put that on Knight at all, because I think that internationally he's been really, really damn good. I think even in the finals that they play against T1, he was so awesome. Damn good. Yeah, it's like Billy as a whole was like really, really insane. Like the main player that stood out as the bad one was underperforming. Like every other support outside of Korea that World Championship. Knight's career, it's like I think having a good think of where he lands is we're definitely in that era. It's like I think there is a clear like top 4. It's like at this point, if the main person that I always have like a hard time judging and rating is Xiaohu. That's the one that is always tough for me to place, because he has, like, what's so freaky about Xiaohu is that he swapped to top lane and was just the best top lane in the world. Like, how do you add that to the evaluation? It's so freaky that he did that, and we just won an MSI, and Xiaohu has the longevity as well. But it's like Rookie, Chovy, Faker, and of course Knight. Like I think I guess someone that could partially slot in, because but the only like problem with his claim is the fact that he is playing in Europe. But Caps' dominance is also something that is, he's had the international success, but the fact that Caps has just stayed winning in Europe The amount of championship he has is also like something I need to like consider when I put my top 5 together, you know?
By the way, I definitely agree on that point as well. Like the number of different players he's gone there with, bro. Like if you go back and look, like the obvious positions as well are stuff like support. I mean, he had Yunjia, he had fucking what's his name? What was his name? He had Mark. He had the dreaded Mark. That was the Jackie fucking bot lane partner there, exactly. Like he's had some players. I mean, missing now as that was like a little blip. He had a couple of years he was really good, and then that was it. And even then, as I always point out, he did have that position where like you get the Ricard every game because people spend all the bans on the fucking laners, don't they? So and you got fucking Kanavi as your jungler for fuck's sake. So no, he does it with anyone. I mean, the joke here is like if you want to really give Knight props, just think of the framing of this. He just won an LPL final where the starter was Beichuan, who everyone wanted fired after the fucking international tournaments, and then closed it out with a literal former Mad Lions EU jungler who was made a mockery of at Worlds, and that ended his career, we all thought. Like, in fact, there's a little thing I'll ask you about. I know in a way it's not the same as an EU player winning because obviously he is Chinese, hence that whole drama this year about like he had the dual citizenship or whatever, you know, like you're not allowed apparently on the passport or whatever. But this is a player who made his original name in Europe, though. It's like he made it in the LPL. And then in the LPL, he was in the doldrums. He was on like the teams where no one gives a fuck, like LGD, like or FPX. No one cared about these teams. These were the eras of the bad eras of these teams where the names were legendary before, but not when he was there. So the idea he would ever even be relevant, bro, like people don't watch the LPL anyway, so they weren't watching his matches. The idea he's won the LPL is crazy, though. Like, again, imagine popping out of a time machine in like 2020 Worlds after you just shit the bed, Yamato, and going, don't worry, 5 years later, he actually wins the LPL. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's mental. That is kind of jarring.
It's just the most impossible thing to predict ever. Even the idea of Billy winning summer at certain points looked like an impossibility. Like they swapped through so many junglers. It's like I don't think a team has swapped between so many junglers ever. Like, that's a list. And for Shadow, it's if anything, it's a lesson for everybody out there, you know, who thinks that they are stuck like in like a bad team or whatever. It's like you never know what kind of opportunity is gonna show up, and the incentive to like always prove yourself in every match that you play is so damn important. It's like Beichuan got a chance because he beat Billy in the BO5. Like Shadow got a chance because FPX started picking up a couple of wins where Shadow was like instrumental. And then suddenly Billy a team aggressively, they want to make changes and they want to try something different because what they currently have is not working, and suddenly you find yourself in a position like this. It's like if we tie it together to like a different circumstance, like KC, it's like they had conversation about Vladi, and maybe if there was a different mid laner, maybe ready to go, they tried with Niski, maybe you would be on KC right now, and maybe you would have the chance to do like the KC miracle here to get them to the World Championship, win a split, because that would be like the equivalent of that. Knowing where they started with, of course, Wei and Jun at the beginning of the year, but completely unthinkable. Like I think it's cool that Shadow got the chance to play in the LPL and that he got to establish himself over a longer period. Because the main thing after the Mad Lions thing, like he was just branded as a choker, branded as this, and the fact that I don't even remember what his first team was. I believe it was like LGD. Just took a chance on a player that had insane like regular season performance. Like in his opening year, like him having the carry Olaf performance to beat 2020 G2. I'm happy that people out there actually value that, because we've seen too many players. It's like, oh, they went to Worlds, you played bad at Worlds, and suddenly we're gonna forget everything you did in the regular splits. We've seen that too often. And I don't blame Mad Lions because they picked up Elioya, but I blame the other teams for not pursuing Shadow actively, because I'm sure there was room to keep Shadow after a very, very great year, because it kind of fell in the same kind of department as Crownie. It's like, oh, Crownie didn't ever go to World Championship.
Yeah, they remember hold it. It's only at Worlds he failed. Yeah, true. Yeah. He was like a Lee Sin one trick at times, but he was also awesome on it. He was really fucking good. And it's a standard draft where you could pick it. Like, I know what you mean, Yamato. To me, that is a GM failure, because that's a player that, if you know in sports, put it this way, Yamato, if that's a striker, That player never goes to the fucking bottom division. Like, okay, you have a breakout, you look really awesome in certain times, and then you have one big failure. This would be the equivalent of like shit in the bed in the Champions League or something. Another team would take a gamble and go, hey, maybe we can be the ones to make the right team around him or help him get past his issues or develop him. Instead, yeah, everyone was like, oh, he's trash, lol, and then they just forgot about him. And for real, he was just deleted from history because everyone just remembered that world and acted like he sucked. Like, no, he was a good fucking player. Also, another thing is, mate, I'll tell you who must have the worst agent in fucking the world. It's JJ. Mate, you started on IG. You'd probably still be awesome there. Then the rumor was you were going to BLG. That didn't happen. You ended up on FPX. Spoiler, JJ, that's worse than IG and BLG. And here's the worst thing, Yamato. I think he's better than both Shadow and Beichuan. Bro, what's your agent? Is he the T1 drafting coach or something? Fucking hell. This is self-harm, mate. This is bad. What are you doing?
Oh man, JJ, aye.
It's cruel as fucking it. Like, how did the year end up like this? He was even like one of the better players on IG too. Like, I actually feel bad for him, mate. What a fucking his agent has hinted this year so hard. It's crazy.
I don't know. This guy's book will be fucking freaky. He gets flamed by his ADC on EDG, and then everybody leaves EDG after that because the team completely collapses after benching leave, and they didn't make the World Championship after being like one of the best teams in the LPL.
Yes.
And then he has to play on one of like, he's just jailed, and then he hits his head and is not playing anymore. I don't know what the fuck happened there. It's like we got to hear that JJ hit his head and can't play. I'm like, all right, fair play. He doesn't need to play. Finally gets on IG and suddenly it's out. Like, what the hell happened here, man? I want to know the inside stories. And if I could ask like just 10 questions that had to be answered truthfully to certain LPL individuals, they would just settle so many things, but certain stories, I guess, they're never gonna come out unless people start climbing trees and shit.
I've got to ask you something, which is, obviously, the way the LPL format is like LEC. You do the lower bracket in the same weekend as you have the final. So we had the Anyone's Legend one against TES. By the way, another matchup that I can tell you, the betting on that was almost even money. It was like both teams had reasons they could win. I actually do feel a bit bad for Anyone's Legend, I've got to say, because I do feel like they have powered up during this lower bracket run. They've sort of started to get their form back. I even think, even though certainly some players didn't necessarily play that awesome in this series, I actually think if you look at the way the team played, mate, once you get into the body of the series at game 2 onwards, they're in all these matches, mate. In fact, there's even moments where they're given flashbacks of Anyone's Legend when they were the best, like when they're actually like a really strong team where they can make the correct macro response. By the way, I'll tell you another player who's been criminally slept on this year. People only, when Anyone's Legend won in spring, were giving Tarzan props. Mate, he's like Owner. He does not take any blame for this fucking season and how this season ended in the summer. Like, this guy has just cooked the whole time from jungle. And, mate, he was trying his hardest in this fucking series, mate. He just couldn't get them over the line. Like, what do you think? There's clearly some weaknesses still, but I actually still feel like they gave a decent showing of themselves. Where you at on Anyone's Legend?
I think they looked fine. They definitely ramped up. I think that the advantages that they had leading up into spring was that individually they just looked so damn sharp. Like even a player like Flandre just looked sharper than a player like Bin, which is just not happened ever in LPL history. And I think they took that opportunity super well. But it just looks like this is a team that were working so damn hard, and when they hit fatigue, they kind of had a ceiling that required them to like really overwork themselves. And the magic in it all is, of course, understanding how to pace yourself out so you can come into a LPL finals and just be in perfect form. Like that's an art. Like that's a skill set that not a lot of players learn. And that's why at the beginning of the year when we were doing the shows, we were always talking about, it's like, we are not sold on a player like Hope to break out. We're not sold on a player like Shanks to break out until they do. And even then, when they do, to do it again, that's an even harder aspect of it. And
yes.
And they had a fantastic spring split, fantastic, of course, MSI run, but then finding form again is going to be a very tricky thing. And you can see the eliteness of course, of Tarzan, because he has maintained and has popped off completely during these playoffs. But I think this is where, you know, you get very, very deep into a season and the nameplates begin to like really, really matter.
Yes.
I think the main issue in this matchup in particular, why AL I think do a lot better against Bilibili, is that I think Tarzan can't do as much against Kanavi. It's like Kanavi being slightly behind is like it's okay, but then suddenly everything else gets measured, and I think outside of that spring split, I think a 369 is a better version of who Flandre is. And then if Hang is performing, that's going to be great too. But for them to find those peaks again is going to be the biggest challenge for AO, because Tabe got it out of them, but then finding that again is going to be tricky. But they're very lucky, I think, coming into this playoffs. Like, we love IG, but I think they're gonna smoke IG easy. They're gonna make Worlds, and the fact that Worlds is in China and that they have some time to breathe and to rest, maybe finally they can truly catch up to what occurred to them at, of course, not occurred to them, but the lessons of MSI and EWC occurred to them. Sounded like they got destroyed. Like, they had a good showing, but finding that form again, they can finally take a proper breather, because the LPL format was like relentless, just completely relentless.
Anyone's Legends already qualified. It's TES that plays.
Oh shit! Oh damn!
It was if BLG
right.
won that Anyone's Legend got to go.
True,
So BLG winning actually got them through. So anyway, I get your point. Anyway,
Tobias was gonna smoke IG as well.
They would also have wrecked IG. They would also have wrecked IG.
Yeah.
No. Here's the. I know what you mean about the nameplates point though. It's like what I just said about the bin angle. I don't care how badly you think he's played or how out of the meta he is, etc. If you give him one game to win a series, you're in fucking trouble sometimes. Like, he'll just wake up one day and go, "Oh wait, I am bin actually. What's that? Oh, these are like sort of like Thanos corners," and then you'll be done. Like, that's it. It's over for you. Because that's why, by the way, Yamato, I do have mad props for in the past when people like Hope, Yagao. When these people win, when Flandre won Worlds, when people can win like a tournament, but they're not the best player and they can't hands their opponent, that's really fucking hard in League of Legends. Like, as you saw in this series here, bro, like, absolutely Anyone's Legend was in this series. In fact, that game 3, they'll be thinking about that one for a while, mate. They could have won that game. Like, that could have been the series for them. But the problem they have is, if you fuck around against top esports, they have 2 players who I don't care even if they are the best player at that moment. If Kanavi or Jackie Love turn up in a game, they can beat any player in the opposite role. Like, Kanavi can kill anyone. And that's how I know if people have watched the LPL, if they think he's like some not that good player. Like, he's an unbelievably good player. And then Jackie Love, like, he just has the, I've always said, like, for me, the way I know people just live off Worlds results is how highly Uzi I is esteemed to this day, but Jackie Love gets fuck all love. Mate, I think Jackie Love is everything you guys think Uzi I is. Like, in the LPL, when he just turns his game on, I've never seen an ADC play as well. Like, Ruler's more within his game, mate. You know, he plays around how the team plays. People who way back in the day, Weijao, that's a different style of League of Legends. Nah, mate. So Jackie Love just has like the craziest demon mode I've ever seen from mid ADC in LPL, mate. He just can be the best. There's a reason why he would be like, I actually think he's better than Uzi in the LPL. I think he's just got a greater legacy. He's unbelievable, mate.
If for some reason somebody didn't watch the LPL playoffs, check Ezreal Game 2,
yes,
Top Esports versus Bilibili, the first round where they played.
Yeah,
and you'll get some freak shit that I don't think other players would do, because that game looked impossible to win. Even after some of the mistakes he did getting caught on mid, there's just the later portion of the game where he just carries the game. It's unbelievable, because the game just looks so incredibly over. And then there's just some sequences that are like, what the fuck? What on earth is he doing to these guys? And Jackie Love could just pull that out of the hat, and he never loses the aggression, regardless of what goes and happens in the game, which is just the top Esports identity. Everyone's bought in.
Oh, yeah, by the way, since, as you mentioned, obviously there is a regional in China. The way the regional works is essentially the same format. If you've ever watched LCK, you know how it works. The first match is the 2 bigger teams. Essentially, it's Top Esports IG. If whoever wins that one immediately qualifies. By the way, I'm with you. That should be Top Esports on paper. They've actually always had a great matchup against IG as well. Then the other match is one we've already seen actually in the lower bracket, was that JDG Weibo Gaming. True, in the summer split, actually JDG kind of shocked everyone on that one. They did upset them. I have to say, I would probably still favour Weibo to like grind it out like 3-2 or something. So in theory, if you're a rookie fan, you're actually not in a bad spot. It's probably going to come down to you have to be either a very flawed Gen.G roster or a just kind of above average but not amazing Weibo gaming. And if you win that one series, you get, admittedly, you have to then play the T1 and Faker, but that can still get you a potential parlay into Worlds. So it's actually not, and by the way, as of right now, this is the T1 you can play, mate. I'd be scared if it was the other T1 and everyone had played awesome in the LCK playoffs. This T1, it's not impossible you can even win that. So it's actually going to be quite an interesting angle in that sense. If you're a rookie fan, hope still alive, mate. It can still happen.
Yeah, I think even in the context of top esports, it's there was series IG won against top esports, but they were always insanely 50-minute game. Fake the rookies defending the base with Ari 1v4, and then TPs come in, and then top esports can't end the game. I was IG are the ones to never get drowned out by the lights, and you just know coming into if they manage to qualify, of course, which I'm with you, I think they should be able to beat either JDG or Weibo. You just know they're going to go there and play, their best version of League. Whatever pressures they're on, I don't think it's gonna matter. I think that's their biggest edge, and T1 is a team that needs to warm up and need to warm up to things. It's the pressure's on them. If IG don't make it, nobody's gonna care. If T1 don't make it, ooh, that's a new type of pressure. Usually T1 gets some time to warm up. Gen.G beats them in the BO1. Almost lose to Team Liquid. That's okay. We can figure out our draft strategy. We can do it real time. We have some data to kind of help us along the way. Here is elimination from the get-go, and I think that IG can thrive in that. But realistically, T1 should be the better team. But who knows? IG have broken what's realistic many times throughout the year.
Key thing for me is I actually just think it would also, like I said, I think it'd just be great for the game to have that matchup. We not only haven't, look, we are getting it sort of at the end of their careers, not when it would have been sexy. That's why, in a weird way, the actual, even though that one I want for historical reasons, the real match I actually want is just Chauvet versus Knight in the World's Finals, because they're both still fucking peak performers who are insanely epic, and they both have BLG's team's a bit worse, but they both have good teams, etc. Just for nostalgia reasons, we have to have it at once, bro. We have to have Rookie versus Faker. In this case, the idea it gets you into the world's main event, that's kind of cool in itself, because obviously Rookie hasn't been a world's in forever. And in Faker's case, he's never, ever failed in this sort of a spot. Like we say, when he goes towards the tournament, he's always in the semis at least. So either way, it's pretty epic on either end, whatever the result is.
Yep. Bro, that's fucking finally, bro. I'm living off of that BO1 win where they play fucking Kale Sona or whatever the fuck that was in bot lane. Bro, that can't be the last time they face off against each other, it just can't be. It can't be.
No, that was bullshit, mate. And obviously, when he left Korea, he was a baby at that time, mate. No one was saying he was the GOAT back then. He was just a really good up-and-coming player. Unfortunately, we had many players like that. So if you never watched him in the LPL, listen, maybe shut the fuck up telling me how good he is or is not, but you just didn't see his career, mate. His career really was just an alternate dimension for you, and he was fucking unbelievable. So this is the latter days. In that said, though, his career hasn't sunsetted. He can still be really good. He was good in the earlier splits. He was actually pretty good this summer. It's just in the playoffs, he wasn't as good. He didn't have as many carry games, and then definitely, by the way, his team also has had their issues. We can't ignore it. Even when they were winning, we kept pointing out Way isn't that good, mate. In fact, I don't really know how he's doing this. It's sort of low-key fucking shocking me that they keep winning these matches, because it's not like he's carrying them, is it? Sometimes he's even looking whack.
Oh, man. At least Mako was doing better, but at some point in the playoffs, it was AL is good. They can be good. And if they are dealing with their own issues well, then it's we have a top 3 that you just don't.
And if you remember, in the actual regular portion, also Gala was having some unbelievable series, man. He was getting pentakills every fucking series, it felt like. So I also need a big performance from him as well. I want to see him pop off. Essentially, actually just hoping that game it's a banger game if it happens. Obviously, the real joke here would be Yamato. If history, though, in this case, I'm going off current form. If history tells me anything, actually, this is where fucking Agent Zhao who was activated. Like, time to fuck up everyone's worlds, Ron. Like, I think I'll be going to Worlds now. Like, because by the way, his team can't win Worlds. But I'll tell you what, there's a world where I could see them just bullshitting their way through. They're 3-2 in JDG, they're 3-2 in IG. Then they 3-2 fucking T1, and then go to Worlds and don't do anything. Just go, like, ninth place, lose 2-3 in the Swiss system. Everyone's like, kill all those players in a video game. Like, no, I'll get hated on by Chinese fans. I could also sadly see that world, you know, because people do forget. Zhao's pretty clutch too, mate. He just has he has that talismanic effect where it's not even that he's that good right now, but he just wins games somehow. It's bizarre.
No, it's just he's got a monkey paw that's curling fingers for sure. It's like the Weibo runs have been very, very miraculous. Like, I still can't believe they made the finals, man.
I know. It's still the problem is because of the names. You look at like Zhao, you're like, oh, it makes sense. They could be under Shy. These are awesome players. No, that was like by the way, they had no business whatsoever being in that final. It was absurd. Even the one the next year where they made like the final of LPL, it's like, oh, how? That shouldn't even be possible. You're not even vaguely, like, you could never have won that match. Like, what even is this? Anyway, Yamato.
Yeah.
Speaking of people sleeping on team, here's the problem. When you sleep on someone, you have to do like true fans do, which is you have to make sure that that glorious light never gets in, because the light that can affect you, that will ignite the mind, that will activate the brain. It's really hard when there's light in the room. So you know what? We've got a wonderful new sponsor, which is Manta Sleep. And I'll tell you what, this is the easiest product ever to promote, because first of all, it's actually just exactly what you'd imagine, really good. Like, obviously the problem when you're sleeping, if people don't know, if you haven't got good curtains, most people don't, any amount of light will make it harder to sleep. That's just actually the way even the brain works, basically. It's also why, by the way, as a random aside, famously, if you are someone who's like depressed and you're in bed all day, they always tell you, like, open the curtains, mate, get up, go for a walk, get some light in your bed. Don't sit in a dark room, don't like have everything, because then you'll be like locked in. So basically, if you want to sleep though, that's what you want to happen. You want to make it as dark as possible. And look, you can try with curtains, and you can try with like all the doors closed. You can try shutting off all light sources. By the way, I'll tell you a problem modern gamers have when you're in a room trying to make it dark. You probably have your PC in your bedroom. So you've got little lights flashing on that, or you have your phone charging next to you, so on a little light while it's charging, or you have a little, like, maybe you even have one of those lights that plug in, like a night light or something, so you can go to the toilet. Any amount of light's going to make it harder to sleep. And doesn't everyone in the modern day complain? They're on the phone all the time. They can't get any sleep. They're having they're insomnia, etc. This is awesome for that. It's also great for naps during the day, by the way, because one of the best things is these iPads, which, by the way, are really comfortable. These feel really awesome on your eyes. It's not like if you just put a traditional mask over, it's just like lights coming in those gaps there, you know, like a plane mask. Those are all right, but if you have it at the wrong angle, it's still going to come in. These completely cup around your eyes. They block all the light. They're really soft. They've got a space too. So basically, they're not actually touching your eye. They're just touching around your eye, which is really comfortable. And then also, they black out everything. It's completely, you will black out all light. And probably the most OP part, in my opinion, Yamato, is even though this band is all fabric, it's purposely made to have like a breathable quality to it. So you don't get that, like, I'm like, think about if it was someone like sweating through it and you're feeling really horrible and you want to take it off for that reason. I mean, I've told people when I sometimes do episodes at the end of these shows, I take my headphones off and I'm like, oh, it's bloody sweat all around it. It feels horrible to put. Dude, this feels awesome. This just doesn't even feel like you've got it on. So I think this is mega, mate. It's so, like I say, it's such a simple concept. It's exactly what you see, but I think it's really OP, actually. Like, I never had one of these myself. I used to just use a little sleeping mask like that, like from a plane that I just took years ago. I'm going to use this, mate. This is banging. So if you want to get yourself a wonderful Manta sleep, then it's simple. You can use our code, which is, of course, summoning. Always is, isn't it? First name out summoning insight, SUMMONING, summoning, and you will get 10% off your purchase of a wonderful mask. By the way, genuinely, if you're looking for something to help you get a nap, help you get better sleep at night, check this out. Oh, by the way, go on planes as well. There's another great use. Or if you buy, here's one. Let's say you're taking a road trip and you want a nap in the back of the car. Pop this on, mate. You'll be loving it. You're in your own little world where you can just get some shut eye. So don't sleep on Jackie Love. Do sleep using wonderful Manta sleep. Shout out to Manta and shout out to anyone who purchases it. And by the way, this is another one of those moments, Yamato, where low key, one of the coolest things for me is I ran this show, Summoning Insight, for like over 10 years now. I mean, I had a little bit of time when it was off, when Monty was in Overwatch, but I've run it for roughly a time span of 10 years plus. And over that time span, if people don't know, we didn't actually take any money for this show until something mad like 2021 or something, mate. Because what used to happen is we had an AdSense account, but first of all, we didn't used to put the ads in. We didn't even know much of monetization back then. And crucially, because me and Monty had our own careers, we never took the money out of the account. We just left it in there. And then one day, eventually, we just took it out when we made the company or whatever. So first of all, I think it's dope to have sponsors anyway, because essentially I do actually now get paid to do these talk shows, which I put a lot of time in, building up the concept and the rapport and establishing the name. So it's cool anyway that I get some payback. But actually, low-key, one of the coolest things about doing this company, I'm sure you can agree, is all the fucking awesome sponsored stuff we get sent. Like, mate, I actually, for real, like I've said this about some of the past things, I would buy some of this shit for myself if they stopped sponsoring me. Like, some of these are actually like legit banger products. Like, I'm loving getting sent some shit. Like, oh, I never thought about a sleep mask. This is fucking sick. Like, I never would have bought that. I never would buy the little in-ear ones. Remember, I'm a boomer. I would have the big headphones. I would never buy fucking like supplements and stuff. Like, the amount of them that are actually just banger products is fucking sick. And this is one of them. I'm loving this.
These are a blessing, honestly. Like, I was surprised by how gentle they just sit around the head, you know? And the fact that there's no light, there's no light escaping, because it's like sometimes you're in a relationship, you're different kind of sleepers too. So it's like I gave this to my fiance, and it helps her because I like waking up to the sunlight. She hates that, you know, she hates it, and it's like finding that compromise is also super difficult. And I know for a lot of people, it's like people like install so many things like to black out the windows and shit. But this is so compact and easy. And it's like on the topic of like the advertisement, it's like it's cool that it's one of the things that is a good part about the internet is that the consumer has gotten smarter. You know, it's like you can't push bullshit. It doesn't work. It's like the word spreads too fast and you can't. These work, and they just want to put, of course, you know, a good product out there, because it's like you don't get anywhere with a bad product. It's like you get toasted, you get cooked instantly. There's no way. It's like. The consumer has gotten too smart.
By the way, one thing we forgot to talk about, because I think this was actually announced before last week, but it's just one of those ones I didn't put in the list of things. I'm trying to do a better job of that now. One thing we should discuss, Yamato, is, bro, I'll give props to Riot Games. They're actually doing one of my ideas that I think looks fucking awesome. You know, I always tell you the worst thing about this whole stupid region discussion, because the most extreme example is the NA one. The NA people have the audacity to go NA over EU because they can get like one team that might slightly outperform the best EU team, even though as a region, they might still just be worse, right? The real problem I've always said is you can't judge a region off the outlier best team. You have to look at the general strength. So what I've always wondered about, it's why I actually think a lot of the like Western runs where they just make top 8 of the worlds and do nothing else are mad overrated, because that just means you won a couple of BO1s in a past worlds, mate. That doesn't actually mean you're better than whoever the 4th best LCK team is or the 5th best LPL team or something. Bro, we're going to finally get a sense of how strong the other teams are, because they've announced this tournament. It's called the League of Legends Asia Invitational. And basically, right before Worlds, they're inviting, listen to this, the 5th, 6th, and 7th LCK teams, the 5th, 6th, and 7th LPL teams, and the 4th and 5th LCP seeds. So look, the LCP ones are probably quite weak, but that means basically there's a world where this is probably going to be like fucking Nongshim, D+, you're going to have fucking, or maybe even like a Fear X could get that last one maybe. You're going to have, could be IG, could be Weibo, could be JDG. Bro, this is actually going to be like a fun tournament. Like, this has like IEM vibes to me. Like, I will still be interested to watch this as a warm-up for Worlds, because I also want to see how do those teams stack up. Like, I'll tell you what, as much as I've laughed at D+, what if D+ goes and beats like Weibo or IG or something? Then I'll totally like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. So I always like international tournaments anyway. Yeah, this isn't quite as good as like MSI or Worlds, but this should actually be fun. This actually looks pretty good, Yamato.
Oh, this is like one of the greatest things ever. I think it's just perfectly timed too. Yeah, it's like we have this gap between from the team side as well. It gives you a bigger incentive to do things.
On the 14th of October, and this tournament ends on the 12th. So it's just before.
It's perfect. It's like I've gotten so used to the constant just barrage of league. It's like the longest break we had was after MSI, but even there, it's like LPL started fast with their seeding rounds. So, like in my mind, we had the EWC. Sorry, the first stand was the bigger break. Nevertheless, we need this. We need this so badly.
It's like, it is an online competition. I have to mention that detail though.
Oh shit! It's online.
I just saw it. Just says it's online apparently. So that's not as good. But even though Korea and China should still be decent ping, and that's not as good though. To be fair, I just noticed it unfortunately.
Okay, better than nothing. Better than nothing.
True.
I do think it's like if anyone wants to go into the imagination of trying to do something like this between EU and NA, it's like NA have nothing to offer. I think if anything, you try to include the LEC into that, but obviously if it's online, that's not going to be possible. I don't know how you include LEC into shit like this. I think if anything, you should even it might devalue your product, but it's like if anything, you have a combination of the teams in LEC that don't make it. Maybe they play against some of the EMEA Masters teams in the in-between, because that's also something that is possible. But I know from the EU side, EMEA Masters is running during the World Championship. It started now, but it's running during the World Championship. We had the whole drama about the scheduling of that, because apparently the EMEA Masters Finals is like right where the semis of Worlds is happening, like something ridiculous like this. And this has also been like a big pain point. So for anyone out there asking how do we incorporate LEC, how can they get more competition like this, I don't see an elegant way of doing so. But I'm fucking hyped for this one. This is gonna be sick.
Also, I'll give you actually another reason why. Guess what? This tournament will actually make Worlds better, Yamato. Because since these teams are already, like some of them are going to be in China, which is where Worlds is, the LPL teams. One of the problems League of Legends has always had, in my opinion, is that unlike Counter-Strike, because once you're eliminated, like every team that would be in this tournament, by the way, as soon as they're eliminated, they will stop playing. Because the year's over, like some of them won't be in the same team. Like look, if even the Demacia Cup shit's after Worlds, guys, they do that later on to test the new rosters, and so in theory, right? Normally, one of the worst things about League is I do think you get some pretty bad semis and finals, because you get to a point where only the teams left in the tournament still play. It's actually why people give that hype story all those years ago about fucking Damwon and Griffin when Fnatic played them, because that's who they had to practice. They had to practice challenger teams that were practicing to get into the LCK. So right now, this has actually, since these teams will keep playing for this, because by the way, even though it's online, there's respect. China and Korea don't want to lose to each other politically and culturally. So these teams will still keep playing, even when they're eliminated from LCK and from the LPL Regional. So the good thing is, if you're a Worlds team, especially the Chinese ones, bro, you can get more teams to practice when you're going to your boot camp for Worlds, because logically, they'll want to practice against the teams they're not playing. So you can actually have like potentially some good teams, like actually like some of these teams aren't bombs, like especially the LPL ones. That'll be good practice, mate. Like if I am a T1 or a Gen, I want to play against those teams. There's more good teams to practice against. I'm not now practicing like extra games against CFO or whatever. Like I can actually have like real teams from my region and the others. So I think that actually makes Worlds better too. I think it actually solves a little problem, mate.
Yeah, it's like it even makes the speculation so much better, because if LPL beats LCK, it's like it gives you like a little spark, a little ignition, you know. It gives us some good strong talking points. We like anything that just gives us more volume and more matches is a good thing. And I think for the teams it's also like really fantastic. Like,
the thing is, though, I do feel sorry for the teams from the LCP, though. The 4th and 5th LCT game, you are going to get booty blasted so fucking hard in this tournament. Like, good luck, but listen,
right, it's going to be hard. Let me check. We should check real quick who it is. We should check, because if it's like a GAM, maybe they're going to make it through.
There's no way it's going to be GAM, mate. It's going to be someone I'll bet you have never even heard of some of the players it's going to be.
Because I'm looking at the bracket right now. PSG, Team Secret Wales, and CFO is top 3. So we actually have like a little Levi action, GAM. And then we have the Vikings, which is the SOFM team. You know, they got some swagger. You know,
that's copium. That's copium. There's no way.
I think maybe.
Also, you're saying that SOFM's the fucking coach, bro. If he was playing, I might be out. And if it was 5 years ago, but it's none of those things about. So
I'm trying to reel you in, bro.
Sadly, he will just be watching like the rest of us. His team get absolutely fucking destroyed in the server. I'll give you the GAM one. That's actually weird that GAM ended up there. I'm actually kind of shocked at that. It's because if people don't know, obviously you had Maple and Carcer and Talon, so suddenly the second best team in that region isn't GAM anymore. And then you even had the fucking the actual other Vietnamese team qualified instead of Vikings, which is the secret Wales one. So okay, even so though, I don't give a fuck. And by the way, I even did do the boomer joke the other day, Yamato, because when CFO won, you know who was on my timeline? It's your boy Driver. he was doing like the fucking worm or something, mate. Do you see?
Yeah, he's upgrading his shit, bro. He's flying.
Instead of just winning the game and doing that dance, they had like a whole segment on stage where they just moved back like he was a b-boy or something. And he started just dancing all around. And all I said was, I thought my comment was about him. I said, TikTok hit this generation like crack hit ghettos in the 80s. Like,
Jesus.
Mate, you just ruined a whole generation with this shit. All being like, what even is this? Like, you know, I want to tell people, no, they're not all just nerds. Some of them are like they work out, they do martial arts, they're manly. And this guy is fucking doing a K-pop routine or something like, holy shit.
I know, you compared TikTok to crack.
Listen, both have destroyed the minds of a generation and their potential is gone.
You're insane, bro.
Well, I was going to make a joke. Like, the difference is, though, the government didn't do TikTok to us to influence. Oh, wait a minute. Even that one sort of fits a bit too well. Fits a bit too well, you know. This is how you control a generation. You might be saying, you know, it is what it is, bro.
Now you're in my lane. Now I'm with you.
It is what it is. It is what it is. You know?
Ah, shit.
Next episode, we'll probably be sponsored by TikTok. Don't worry about that. I don't imagine that. Like, actually, guys, you know what? I've been watching these dancing videos, and actually, I'm just going to say one thing. I should do an episode where I do a cold open of me just doing like a TikTok dance. By the way, do you want to know how much of a boomer I am, Yamato? When we did Flashpoint Season 2, that Counter-Strike tournament we were doing back in 2020.
Yeah.
Because it was the COVID lockdown, and we were all locked down in a famous rugby stadium in England, actually, Twickenham. We were all inside the stadium, and obviously it's quite boring. You're not doing anything all day. You do the event, and then you're just stuck with the same people inside a building. There's nothing to go and do. They had like a gym, and that was about it. They had a gym and a TV. That's basically it. You had your laptop in your room. Actually, loads of the people, because it was 2020, loads of people, like all the girls we were with, like Freya, who's one of the hosts, and other people, they were all doing, like Susie was there, Monty's wife, they were recording TikTok content, right, where they actually did for real TikTok dances, and they had other people, and they were asking me, bro, like, hey, do you want to film a TikTok dance? And I was just the boomer, like, are you out your fucking no. And I didn't do any of that shit, bro. Even though it'd be really funny and viral, like, nah.
Bro, you could have made it even bigger than you are now, bro.
I know. Turns out that was the real platform. Maybe the whole time I've been wasting my time researching articles, right? I should have just been dancing. Maybe if I was doing a driver, maybe I would be like the esports boomer dancer. Yeah, maybe I'd be doing it. Exactly.
Oh, damn. All right. We know how we are going to expand the show then. We're going to do vertical streams on TikTok.
Exactly.
We're going to open with some dance moves. Let's go, bro.
In an NPC segment. Chovy, best. Chovy, goat. Oh, goat. Choking. Sorry, I am choking. Goat. Chovy is goat. MVP. Like, fucking hell. Like, probably clip that. Put that on TikTok in itself. I'll probably just did a segment there, didn't I? Put the graphics on the screen as I'm doing it of, like, I don't know, a Chovy hot dog going in my mouth or something. And then a little pair of hands choking me at Worlds or whatever with faking behind them. There you go. There's your material. Use it. Make some money. Anyway.
Well, how do we move on from here?
Well, anyway. We do have the other two regions to talk about. And we haven't got a million hours. So let's go on to it. So, okay. I think we actually go and do the LTA one first, mate. Because obviously, let's be real. It isn't over. But this is like now they've managed to make two continents a one-team region, mate. Like, it's just FlyQuest, and who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, it just is. Like, at this point, I don't even know if FlyQuest is good. I can't tell. Like, they're playing against bots, man. What is this? Like, What are your thoughts on LTA? Because obviously this was already weird because, I mean, at least 100 Thieves is still in it. But as soon as Shopify Rebellion got knocked out, it was going to be a limited pleasure to watch this anyway. By the way, if you want to know how bad the situation in America is, bro, Inspired. This is where I love Polish guys, mate. He wasn't media trained, homie. His version of media training is not saying kurva every 4 seconds. Like, this guy, you'll never make this guy a polished media actor. And there's why. If you're the best player on the best team in a whole region that's split into 2 conferences, you should actually do what Floyd Mayweather does, Yamato. You'll appreciate this analogy. Floyd Mayweather, if you ever saw him fight, because he was also the promoter and the fighter and the champion, what he would do is he would book someone, and the whole pre-fight, he would hype them. He'd be like, this is the most dangerous fighter in the world. This guy is an excellent boxer. But he'd always say he's going to win, though, because that's how he would hype it. What he's trying to do is make you want to watch the fight, thinking finally someone has a chance to beat him. But then when he wins, logically, if he's built him up, that must mean that Floyd Mayweather's even greater for winning. Inspired did the opposite. He did an interview, bro, where he admitted he hadn't watched a single game of Vivid Keystars, the #1 team from LTA South. He just didn't. He didn't even bother watching him before he played him. He's just like turned up, like, "No, what are we doing here? Who the fuck's that? Ah, never mind. Oh no, that's it." Like, bro, like, how am I supposed to be hyped? What if they play in the final though, you lunatic? There's no hype at all now, is there? Like, it's just this makes it sound ass. What is this?
Yeah, honestly, like the series was so damn one-sided. Like, it was so damn one-sided. Shopify Rebellions. I don't know. This whole tournament was just designed to remind us of how bad Shopify Rebellions is. Like, that's what this tournament is for. That's the only thing we're gonna get out of this tournament is how shit is Shopify Rebellions. It's like these guys should just hire the entire 100 Thieves roster the moment they are done with Worlds.
Okay,
because like they have to, because it's like 100 Thieves just a guest team. They're probably gonna beat VKS. It's like 100 Thieves. It's like the Red Cannon is like, sure, there's like a play like Doom looked interesting, but there's such a big like gap between these regions. There's such a big gap. But then the even bigger gap is the one between FlyQuest and 100 Thieves and everyone else in the league. It's like if it's not only a reminder to tell us how shit Shopify Rebellions is, it's also a reminder of how hard C9 fucking dropped the ball too, because they lost against Shopify Rebellions themselves. The fact that C9 is not here in this bracket and is not participating is still just crazy to me. It's like we talked about how Shadow winning the LPL is crazy. This is equal levels of crazy, because Shopify Rebellion's performance is just awful. It's like it's shameful, very, very shameful. I expect the 100 Thieves to make it through. I'm going to have a Fly versus 100 Thieves matchup.
It's going to at least be good. We've seen that be decent before.
Yeah, but it's like 100 Thieves can maybe take a game, but it's like FlyQuest give what no one's taking anything from Fly. They're giving a little bit. And what you mentioned before, I think is a very interesting conversation, because it segues us good into the LEC too. Is like, I'm at the point in time where, due to FlyQuest circumstances and also the level of play, I think that they get away with a lot because individually they're so much better. And I think that's gonna hurt them so damn much coming into the World Championship. And I feel like I can go so far with G2's current level that, in my mind, I think G2 is gonna come into the World Championship as the better team, due to the circumstance of the resistance they've gone through.
They actually played good teams, right?
And they're also figuring out things real time. They're like improving. They are actively playing the mid game together with their jungle and support. And FlyQuest has more of a Gen.G approach to the game, where their individual players need to perform super, super good for it to work. And I think that's going to fall very short when they play against teams and players that are just individually better than them. And I think G2's playstyle lasts a little bit longer, where as we the analogy we always pull out is like the driver is going to just bring them further. Of course, FlyQuest, I think, inspires the best Western player. He's been so for a long time now, and it's absolutely insane. And jungle is a very, very crucial role. But I think having the conversation that G2 might be the best Western team is a very fair conversation to have due to FlyQuest circumstances. I don't think FlyQuest is a lock, as the community or everyone says that FlyQuest is just locked best Western team. I don't think you can say that for certain. It's like just in my mind, it's like I don't envy their situation at all.
No,
It's
no,
like,
I actually do think they're in a really tough spot. Like, here's the thing: in a weird way, he was inadvertently sort of right in the end, Bwipo. Even though when Bwipo said all that obnoxious shit from the first split on of like, all the rest of the teams need to catch up and, I'll give you lessons and stuff. Yeah, obviously that was really obnoxious the way he delivered it. But by the end of the year, he's sort of right. FlyQuest was just playing against himself. And that, as a result, I do think it's really hard to then go. Because remember, the one detail they don't have, Yamato, you do always have to shade in, is especially because they all live in the west coast of America, bro, they can't even do what back in the day TSM used to do. Remember TSM in the early days of League bought like an East Coast house so they could scrim European teams from Western Europe, right? They don't have a factor that anyone else does. Even if you think, like, for example, CFO should be worse than FlyQuest, CFO can actually scrim like LPL teams, mate. Like, yeah, I'm probably like 50 ping, I'm guessing, but like that's probably still like decent practice. FlyQuest basically, probably I would actually guess for real, FlyQuest probably get the most out of their own theory sessions. That's probably where they improve. Not the match, not playing a team, not getting beat. That's why in a weird way, I can see why Bwipo did that stupid comment of like, wow, you're 5-0, so you get a Korean barbecue. It's like, yeah, because no, everyone in this region knows it's just FlyQuest in it, sadly. And Team Liquid died a long time ago. I know they won the fucking first split or whatever, but that feels like a million years ago now, mate. Like, used to play back then. Holy fuck. Also, there's another thing we can do before we go to LEC, actually. There is one piece of news coming out of the LCS, which is no more Impact. Now, by the way, I will say, I don't have, like, it's a strange day for rain. I'm not crying about this one, you might. He played a million years. If people don't know, Impact used to actually play a different role. I think he was support or something. He was playing in the original OGN in like 2012 or something, mate. Like, he has been around for 1 billion years. And then obviously in LCS, he's been there for fucking ages, like a long, long time. And yeah, it's actually cool that last year he was even the MVP. That's kind of wild how long his career lasted. So, like, I do think it's appropriate. Like, if his form has gone down, his team's worse. Also, the region's worse. Here's another thing I'm going to put out there, Yamato. I know this will sound cynical, but I'm just going to say it. I'm almost certain the salaries must have gone way down from what people like him used to get for Team Liquid. You know what I mean? Like, remember when he joined Team Liquid from Cloud9, the premise goes that the reason why Jack let him go isn't because he didn't think he was good. It's because he knew he was going to get like $1 million contract or something. Like, this guy's made a lot of money. And I'm sorry, you guys might not realize this in LTA, LCS, but yes, the reason why some players play in your region is for a green card or for mega box, for really big salaries. And those big salaries don't exist anymore. They've gone way, 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 way down. So I say, like, you know what? Even though I would like to see him play more, I still think he could. By the way, he could definitely still play for a top 3 or 4 team in LTA, obviously. But I also feel like it's fine for him to retire. It feels like an appropriate moment.
Yeah, like his career has been absolutely amazing. Like if there's a player that stands out as a player that just raises the bar for whatever team he's been on, like he's that guy. Whether he was on like Team Impulse or like EG or Team Liquid, like he's been on so many different teams, and anyone that moves on from him seems to like regret it. Maybe like FlyQuest, that's that one stint where it looked like rough because of other things. Like Impact has had a fantastic career.
Oh, but it's, how about the one where they upgraded him to like someday or whatever, and then fucked it up immediately? Yeah, turned out he's pretty good, wasn't he?
Yes, sir. It's just that there's been. I'm happy that he got to play long enough for the community also to appreciate like his biggest strengths, because a lot of those players they just don't. They don't get the praise. Was like if they are weak side kings. They don't get the credit. And Impact won people over through that. And this is all without mentioning the fact that he's a world champ. He's a damn world champ and did it with style too. Like he wasn't like some tank only guy back then. That was weak side king. Like he together with everyone else on T1, like that was the mechanical demon team, and he could pull off some shit. Sure, he played a lot of Shen games. I remember those Shen games, but. Like I also remember his Jax games. So Impact as a player, like I would imagine that it's how you frame it. Like it had to be it's not worth it. I'm sure this guy has made so much money. There's like Impact Tower that stands tall in Korea as well. He has his own like apartment building complex, and I think from the Team Liquid side, I just don't know where they move from here. Because even though you can have complaints about Impact's gameplay this year, I just don't know how they rebuild. It's like if they rebuild with players I've already heard about within the league, there's nothing that's going to make me excited. There's literally no players within the league.
As much as people might think I'm memeing, if 100 Thieves is really losing their roster, you probably have to consider Dokla, mate. He's actually one of the few players you could take.
Yeah, and if that is the big upgrade, it's like, how do you recover?
I know.
Like, how do you recover? It's like, if anything, I think this year could prove to be very expensive for a FlyQuest, because Inspired and Bwipo, their contracts are running out. I don't see a world where you don't at least drive up the price for those guys that are trying to. If FlyQuest is trying to keep them, like, you're gonna drive up the price for these guys. Because if for some reason you have Inspired and Bwipo move over to Team Liquid and they get, for example, Quid, I think the league is over. Like, the league is just done. I don't know how you fight back with that, and I wonder how things are going to progress. Like, that's my main concern. Is like, LTA is in a shit spot, but I also think that the cores of all of these rosters are, when they fade out, I don't know what's going to happen. Because the next question now for Team Liquid is Core JJ still playing. Because if he's out, I don't know what remains. It's like Yeon, you do a rebuild around Yeon, but how does that rebuild? There's going to be some shoddy building, you know?
If you can sell Core JJ, that's the one reason why you might be able to keep him, because at least you have the bottle in that is good. Like, that is a good bottle in. If you have that as your starting pieces, and then you put in, like, I would obviously say import fucking a mid lane. It just feels obvious, or jungler, one of those two. But yeah, you put those, you can still build a good team if you can sell him on it. By the way, I'll give you, as the esports historian, some numbers for Impact. It is nuts, bro. Right? Yes, obviously with T1, he won 2 OGN splits. Remember, he won the winter one on the way out, and he also won the Worlds, obviously. Then in NA, he won 7 LCS/LTA splits, 7. And if you want to add in finals as well, because he had like 2 extra finals in LCS that he made, and then he also had it back in Korea, he had some other times. He was fucking epic. Like, if you add it all together, he's played in his career something like 13 finals, and he won 10 of them.
Jesus.
So I agree. I always used to say, Yamato, that in my opinion, Impact is one of the symptoms that GMs have a very different perspective on the game. Because I always used to say in NA, for some reason, every GM was horny as fuck to get Hooney, which often didn't work out, but they would always give up Impact. Meanwhile, Impact, like you say, every team he goes to is basically a contender or wins the league. And yes, obviously, he is not hard carrying, except that split he won the MVP last year. Like, most of the times, he is the weak side king. But, mate, that is actually an underrated quality when you're as good at weak siding as he is. Because he didn't just weak side, bro. He weak sided with 0 fucking resources. I even heard a story. I think it might even have been when Inspired was in EG. There's some story where it goes that, like, the jungler kept pathing top. Maybe it was when Sven Skaren played with him. It might even be then. I can't remember. Basically, there was some time where the jungler kept pathing top, and he basically told the jungler, yeah, don't bother doing that anymore, mate. Like, just go to the other lanes. Like, fucking hell, mate. Like, this guy's a G. He's also one of those players I can tell you from coaches. Oh, he will totally say, yeah, I'm fine, coach, if you want to actually draft me, like, a losing matchup into the other top lane. Like, yeah, do it if you need to. If that's what makes the comp, I'll figure it out. I'll make it work. Like, mate, you know, as a coach, it's so rare people will, like, be happy to take that on. It's one thing if they begrudgingly go, okay, or all right, I'll take one for the... No, like, the idea they want that is... That's why I always compare him to my boy Odoamne. These guys sort of embraced the shitty part of their job, but they knew that if you do it, you are going to be beloved by your teammates, mate. Those ADCs and mids are going to love you. You are their dream fucking top laner.
And just looking at what North America is, if you think back to the best teams, it was always like AD carry centric. As Impact was behind he was behind the Danny victories. He was behind of course, a lot of the double F victories on Team Liquid. It's like, this was a very, very central piece in making your team have the room to be mid lane focused, bot lane focused, because that is the legacy of North American esports, like North American League of Legends esports. It's like either it was Bjergsen, Jensen, Doublelift, and Impact was there all along. Impact was there all along.
I always used to even say that's why I actually looked down on some of the GMs for that aforementioned move, because he's also one of the people that really early on had the NA status. So I always used to say, bro, you don't need an import slot. That makes him OP as fuck. That means, by the way, you could literally make a team with like import mid, import ADC from Europe, and then have like him as the top laner. Like that's fucking cracked. Like that should be the formula to win championships easily. You're basically like cheating in the game. You have an extra advantage because no native top laner was as good as this guy beyond like, brief times where Licorice was good, or way back in the day, maybe fucking like Darshan or someone like that. But even then, like this guy, the difference is those people came and went. Hooney, this guy just stayed the whole time. Like at worst, he was like the third best top laner most of the time. Like what an unbelievable legacy. Because again, I agree with you. He's a floor raiser. He's not the player that carries the series and wins it for you, but he means that you get to a certain level. And by the way, actually, I'd even forgot one of the final. I forgot that MSI final. Oh, yeah, he was also part of winning a series against Czech's Notes. Prime the Shy. Prime. Mate, I saw some really good top laners get their shit pushed in by Prime the Shy. Like, he was unbelievable. Yeah, this guy won a series over him. If you can even contain a player like that, that's unbelievable. That's nuts. That's like, this is what people have to realize. For players like Impact, you don't win on the scoreboard. As in, you don't win by having 8 kills and you got a penta. No, here's how you win. You win like a great defender, right? My team is Liverpool and Yamato. I tell you, one of the most fun things of all time to watch is Virgil van Dijk shut down the other striker. He's not going to score that often himself, but he's going to stop like amazing striker ever getting a shot on goal. You feel, oh, they didn't get a chance at this one. That's what it feels like when you have an awesome weak side top laner that doesn't care about resources, doesn't want ganks, will play a losing matchup, but then he just finishes the lane. He's been killed once off a gank and he's down 15 CS. Like, mate, you did your fucking job. Gold medal to you. Because in that scenario, yeah, it's time for the mid and the AD to carry. Bro, he's done everything we wanted of him. You had all the jungle attention. You should win. That's why, if you're someone like Doublelift, I haven't seen on his stream, but I hope people like Doublelift are singing this guy's praises. Mate, that guy is your dream top laner. That's fucking in. You're getting that gank all day long bot lane because he's just chilling in top lane, not even asking the jungler to come, not even talking to the fucking jungler. And I've also heard, by the way, he's another one of those people. Even though, yeah, he would himself. I always thought part of his longevity is he would also sometimes chill a little bit in the regular split and then peak in the playoffs. Even so, he does look to me like someone who mastered how to do enough work to get himself back to where he needed to be. Like, it's very rare I've seen him let them down internationally or in playoffs. It always felt like he just brought a stability to his game that's mad underrated in esports in general.
It's also like the video, he was so brutally honest. I appreciated that. It's like any player that I have spoken to that has worked with Impact always just sang his praises. He also put in the effort outside of the game to push teammates and to hold up the right opinions. Like Jizuke told me about working with Impact, and he said it's one of his favorite players of all time in terms of him putting in the effort and also like being willing to like compromise and to help Jizuke play the way he wanted to play, not only in the game but also in helping his teammates. Helping the teammates be convinced by Jizuke's playstyle too, because that also goes a super long way. At Impact, I think he's one of the NA GOATs. NA GOAT top laner, I think easily. I don't know who would be close to that conversation. I think you can't really put anyone there.
My problem is, I do think to be the GOAT, you have to be a carry though.
But who's the NA GOAT top laner then?
It's a hard conversation. Like it would have to be between people like
you have like Dyrus.
All of my history. Yeah, Dyrus is a bit early, Tom. Maybe like Darshan's one. He would be in the conversation because at his peak he was very good. I mean, he's one of the reasons CLG won that first split.
Yeah.
I agree, it's hard. Like, because the problem
is
Hauntzer
was short career as well.
I also thought Hauntzer often played hybrid. He wasn't that much of the carries often, but he'd be in the conversation. You have to put people like Licorice briefly. He had a year or two where he was very good. Hooney himself had a year or two he was good. I agree, it's a hard conversation to have.
Because everyone else is just so, like, the fact that he was from 2014
until now, of course,
it's like 11 years is crazy. That is nuts.
I'm with
you. Because like Darshan was like 2, 3, 4 years maybe where he was like really good. But, being up there all the time is like
it's also
that's
a
crazy
problem
work.
that if you notice, NA is the #1 region I think has never attempted to play around the top laner. They've never given a fuck about it. It's always been because first of all you had double it, but also you had all the mid laners, so it's always been a region about mid and ADC, just as. Like, that's just
Huni
the way they
tried
ran
with
things.
Immortals and Dylan Falco, and then like he was playing Lucian in that playoffs and looked like crazy bad, even though they dominated the regular split with Huni reign over. But I think that also when Huni came back after having that stint in T1, you could see he came back as a different player. You know, he didn't have the same intention. That was Agent Huni looking to get the big bucks. You know, it was a different mindset altogether.
Right, what about then if we flip? Let's talk a little bit about LEC. So in LEC, we only had one match because we were actually doing the show last week, because obviously there's been an entire week and a half off. It was just the Fnatic versus GX one. So, by the way, this is where people always go too far the other way, Yamato. Right? Yeah, obviously GX on paper should be able to give Fnatic a game, should be a chance. But a lot of people I know actually thought GX was going to win this game, believe it or not. Like,
oh, wow.
I mean, people were hyping it, like, because everyone just saw Fnatic do badly in the other games and they were out on them. But I've always said, like, that's the problem with Fnatic, is they are like a really good gatekeeper, bro. They don't fall below a certain level. And in this case, they 3-0'd them. They zipped them up and got them the fuck out of there.
As a game one was interesting, but then it's like it's easy to forget, but you know, some of the GX players, like Jackies has not been performing that good, but it's like, you know, we have a player like Noah in a game decider under pressure against his old team. Like, it's easy to forget these things because he's on GX and it's not talked about.
I think that's also why people wanted GX to win, so it was like revenge for Noah and Jun or something, you know, and they were, but by the way, that's just the narrative. Didn't work, unfortunately. It didn't work.
Bro, what revenge, bro? Noah fucking threw so many fucking games, bro. It's just, I think with Fnatic, for me, the main thing that stands out is just, bro, that bot lane, like Upset's fucking gaming, bro. Like Upset really wants to win. He's playing like mature league, I would call it. You know, like he's not, he's not taking the easy way out in any situation. Even though like the easy way out would still be winning, he's still like pushing and squeezing and pushing, and I think that's super cool.
Like, obviously, we did get to have him on that like pre-MSI thing where he came on and gave some interesting angles. But I'll tell people, I won't say what they've said because that'd be a betrayal, but I'll just say behind the scenes, one thing that actually did give me some hopium for Fnatic the whole year is, even though they've had these disappointments every playoff so far, where they've let themselves down and they've thrown games and they've looked shitter, or they thought they would win, but they did. I can tell you, I can't speak to the other members of the team, but both Mickey X and Upset haven't ever doomed, by the way. They've never been, oh, it's over. So they both know, like, you still keep going, mate. It's not over till the final bell rings. Like, you still keep trying, you still keep practicing, you still keep playing your champions, and you just see if it can happen. So I know what you mean. Like, they looked in this series like it was just business, mate. They just took care of business. Like, let's professionally fuck these guys up, get them out the server, and then let's see, can we do this miracle run? Because I'll tell you what, people have laughed, but with the way KC has played, mate, that is, if I'm Fnatic, you should feel like that's a winnable game. Like, that series is right there. KC is there for the taking, mate.
Oh, it's KC's like both teams are very, very flawed, but breaking down the KC flaws is so easy. It's like the main thing to overcome is that just you have Oscarin versus Kana. It's like that's the main thing that is very tricky to tackle. But when I see them play shit like Rek'Sai, that is like, okay, that's a champion that kind of plays itself. And if you go even against Rek'Sai in a lot of matchups, it's like, oh, that's a win. And now you have the added spice that you can do the level 1 lane swap where you have the ADC lane top. You can easily take Kana out of the game. So it's like, I'm very hopeful for the Fnatic chances. My main concern is still Oscarini, but there's things that you can definitely do. Because bot lane wise, I think they look better lane wise, and I think Vladi is so damn disconnected from the team. And I think that if Fnatic have a sit down and they look at how KC play their mid to late game macro, all they should do is just wherever Vladi opens up on side, just walk on him with jungle and support. Because you're going to be able to break his farm down and you're going to be able to kill him because they don't support him to actually get that farm. And when Vladi plays champions where he needs to connect, like Galio and Annie, he doesn't look right. So this KC team, really strong in team fights, but you can ruin them along the way. And the main question is like, how much can Mickey and Razork actually like step up? Because I expect Mickey to do it, but Razok, this is like your moment. It's like this is you're earning your next paycheck here. You're earning your next 3 years in this series. Because if you fall here, people remember Humanoid got benched. You got away because Poby was available. But if you lose here, everything will come up again. You don't get away with losing this one.
Like, I'll give it to KC this. If they can get so that it's doable in team fights, they have a chance. If they're solo in as play awesome, they have a chance. But part of me actually thinks that there are a bunch of factors people are missing for Fnatic. One, I could see a world where Fnatic can accelerate the early game and just get to the point where they're ahead enough. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if they beat, like, if you say, if they can neutralize Canada, they've got a very good chance. If they can fuck up mid, there's a really good chance as well. And then also, the difference is, I actually think the two players that have coasted by on their fucking names are the support and jungle of KC. Like, actually, if anything, if people don't know, I think Yikes has been not very good this split. Targarvas has had times he was better, but even then he's still got his limitations. I agree with you. Razork and Mickey X can win you this series, mate. Mickey X, I agree with lane ganks, maybe even do the top lane gank too, do all the crazy Mickey X shit. And then, yeah, if you're Razork, mate, the game's right there for you. This is your time where you can absolutely win this series. And if you win this series, you're at Worlds, bro. That would still be, look, it'll still be a disappointing year from where you began, but where you are now, that's something, mate. That is like a tick. And everyone would have said after split one that Casey's 100% going to Worlds. So that's also a win right there if you can get that win over them at that point. By the way, though, I will say, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm going to float this idea now. Here's an obvious thing to talk about, Yamato. Mate, Fnatic's got their own issues, but if KC finishes 4th and doesn't make it to Worlds, so all they did this year was win LEC first split, go to first stand, admit they made the final, but even then they had their issues at the tournament before then. This actually ends up being like, you can't say it's a bad year because you won a split and made an international final, but it's a terrible end to the year, mate. Like, this makes the project look like it. Like, I have to say, you're going to have some really fucking hard off-season decisions to make. Like, I again, because here's the other problem you have. I'll tie the Vladdy topic to what I just said earlier about someone like Shadow. Right? Current form and all the drama says you should cut Vladdy. Mate, who the fuck are you giving Vladdy to in the LEC? Like, I can, by the way, spoiler, if I'm Fnatic, we'll take him. You know what? We'll figure it out. I don't care what. Tell me all his story. Tell me. I'll sit back. You tell me all his stories like I'm a therapist, and you're fucking telling me your life story. At the end, I'll still take him, and I'll try and figure out how to make it work, mate. Because if I make it work, he can be the MVP of the league. This guy's a fucking cracked out player. There's plenty of teams. Basically, everyone except G2 should want this guy. He's really good. So I think if you're KC, you're already going to get destroyed by your fans if you don't make Worlds. But holy shit, what do you do with your roster? What do you do?
It's just there was a steady story of progression. There was a 2-year segment. You look at it, to not make it to the World Championship from where you started would be just such a massive disappointment. If we had that conversation at the beginning of the year, I rated KC to be max 4th because I thought Koi, Fnatic, and of course G2 retaining majority of the roster and in my opinion making like improvements. I thought that they would just be locked 3, but with everything that we've seen and throughout the entire year, KC not making it would be so damn crazy. And somehow we ended in the same position as the LCK, where the match with the highest amount of stakes is this match, the same as Gen.G versus T1 was. This and this one is too, but even more extreme so because there is no 4th spot for some kind of a qualifier. And I wonder if tournament organizers like the LEC are looking at this and wondering if the regional final still has a very important purpose and the points have a very important purpose. Because I do still think that the LPL qualification system is the most fair one by far. Because now, it gets decided so early and then we have our top 3 and then, the hype kind of dies out,
And also, if you're KC players, your whole year's done in September, and all you got to do was first stand. Like, you missed out. You didn't get EWC, you didn't get MSI, you didn't get fucking Worlds. Like, That's a fucking hard blow. Because I'll tell you what, first stand sounds cool when we're just experiencing it. That is clearly the weakest of the national tournaments. It's the least relevant. And in fact, thanks to the Koreans, it'll barely be remembered probably. So sadly, a lot of that's why, unfortunately, people will always be recency biased in esports. It'll always be what you did at the end. They remember, like the Shadow example. No one will remember what happened in winter. No one will even remember that there was times in spring where you still looked really strong. You still had that amazing team fighting that looked like no one could overcome you. So, look, it hasn't happened yet. For all we know, they make a run to the finals. It's not impossible. But I'll tell you what, they're going to have to play much better than they played so far in the playoffs, mate. Like right now, first of all, I think it's plausible they can lose to Fnatic. I think that's an even series, mate. I'd say that's like a 50-50. And then if they play fucking MKOI, I think MKOI just beats them, mate. I think MKOI will beat them. They're a better team right now.
Agreed. Yeah.
I'm with you, though. I actually do think, as of right now, G2 should win, mate. And in some ways, G2 has the opposite story to fucking KC, doesn't it? They didn't win the first split, even though they were in the finals. Then they didn't get to go to first stand. Then in spring, they made the final from the upper bracket again. They didn't win it. This time they went to MSI. They looked actually mid as fuck at MSI. AWC, they had a little glow up. Then this split, they've looked way better. Playoffs, they've looked way better. And if they win now from the upper bracket with no losses, bro, it took them the whole year, but they're there. They're actually at the point where, again, yeah, maybe they're the best Western team. Actually, suddenly with them and FlyQuest, they got two pretty decent Western teams to go head-to-head with people. And that is nuts because if you remember how whack they looked at MSI, I didn't think this was possible, mate. Like, that team looked toothless.
100%. I just, I think one thing that if KC fans want ammunition, and if KC wants ammunition, something to be pissed about, it is, once again, we're talking about formats, the LEC format. The LEC format in summer was almost designed for the international teams to succeed because there was a 2-month period where obviously these teams didn't have access to do anything really. It's like people saying they should have boot camp somewhere. No, it's like, bro, that's not in the realm of possibilities money-wise to fly out to Korea and to spend money on a boot camp like that, up to 100K for a month of boot camp. They were in a position where they couldn't be busy, and then the international teams were busy, and then they got break after break after break. There was 3 breaks, full weeks of breaks for them. First week they didn't need to play. Then there was a week break before playoffs, and then there was another week break leading into this playoffs. Like if you're an international team, like in either like that went to EWC, like Koi and G2, like you're so happy because you get to rest up, you get to digest the experience, and you got way better practice than the enemy. It's almost as if this format was rigged for them. Because how could KC potentially improve? How could the other teams improve? You had the 4 best of 3s, jump into best of 5s right away. You lost, and then now you have to play your qualification match. It's like there is the jump between series you played in the LEC in comparison to LPL and LCK is a massive joke. And if you just compare how much more games Koi and G2 got to play in comparison to KC, it's such a big jump because this format couldn't be used as a testing ground or a proving ground or like even the teams that are on the lower end. It's like you're a lower end team. The first series that you play is super important because if you lose one, suddenly you are just on the back foot. It's like even these teams that try to make changes to the rosters, like how did you have any ground to move or ground to do anything at all?
No, I'm with you. I also do think as well, like, this is also where I think it would also be another narrative that I think is awesome is despite bizarrely him getting criticized for some of the finals and some of the international players, if Skumon becomes a champion in his first year, I think that's just fitting, mate. The guy just looks like he is. I told you, for me, he has, I get like vibes that he's going to be a generational player, mate. He looks really fucking good, really good.
I think that his first year has been way better than Yak. Like way better. I
agree. Even though he doesn't have the titles, yeah, of course.
It's like the titles make it easy to lean into the Yak part, but Yak got away with a lot.
Yep.
And that was like a very, very good environment to set up for, of course, a rookie player the they leaned into his gameplay patterns. They let him play the invade, the carries, and so forth. But if it wasn't for how much better the other 4 players were than everybody else, like you don't get away with shit like that. And Skumon came in and he had a lot of fucking competition. Like jungle role was stacked as all hell. Even with Yike being on KC, like that's a tough opponent. There was no Yike equivalent on the other teams. It's like Yike got away with super much. Elioya was the main competitor, but the other teams were struggling. Like, keep in mind, like Yike's first year, Fnatic didn't even make playoffs in winter. You know, this was the one where they removed Wunder and brought in Oscarini. Oscarini was choking, and then they had to get in Trimby. Like, the league wasn't was at its worst for sure. And I think Skewmond has had to prove him. Had way more cleaner carry games. And I think that the LEC, when Yike came through, the G2 roster was just too stacked. Like, you had Mickey and Caps on the same team again, and nobody had anything else to offer. Like, I was too big of a disconnect. So for me, Skewmon has sold me way better than Yike in the opening year, sure.
And also, I'll tell you what, if you are Labrov, no matter what happens now, mate, you're going to get another Worlds, though. You get another chance. There's a chance for redemption. And remember, if you do well at Worlds, people will forgive you the rest of the year. They'll forget about it, mate. Even though I did think it was quite lackluster at times. Hey, if you can turn it around, if you can just play your role and let the rest of the team do what they're going to do, there's something can happen here.
But the hope, if anything, is well, maybe he's in one of those players that just needs to win the first one. Like, if his teammates can make the first one easy, maybe everything would just be gone. Because he has very, very much so. Like, if you want an angle for why G2 would lose the finals, is that Labrov has very bad in their final games under pressure. But if he gets that first one, maybe he would just continue getting better, continue improving, because he has looked a lot better now, like a lot better, and actually is popping off in a lot of the games on fairly unique champions. So the G2 gambit that I've criticized very heavily, getting rid of Mickey, maybe there's a world where there is some return here where their vision kind of pays off in a crazy way. Still a long way to go, because it means that Labrov needs to have a good world championship, because that's where the Mickey Valley comes through. But I don't think it's entirely outside of the realm of possibility. Looks very difficult because it's a big ask, but Labrov is on a good path for sure.
Right. Let's do some viewer questions, yeah?
Let's do them.
We'll do a little break, and then when we come back after the break, we'll do the viewer questions to wrap.
Sounds good.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Now, we all make decisions every day, but what makes Prize Picks different is now, when you're right, you can get paid, which is the best way to be right of all, right? Now, some of my favourite players in American football are active quarterbacks this season. You've got Aaron Rodgers over on the Steelers now, has a real chance to win, always underrated because he's at the back end of his career. Matt Stafford of the Rams has been perennially underrated the entire time until he got to the Rams. A bit like Rodgers, can make all sorts of crazy throws, no look, lasers to people, has that like warrior mentality, a bit like a Dan Marino. So obviously, it's fun to be able to just pick more or less on touchdowns or passing yards for these players, right? So I'm going to pick for both of my players two stats predictions I think are bangers. So when the Steelers play against the Vikings, obviously a classic rival of Rodgers' old team, the Green Bay Packers, I'm going to say that Aaron Rodgers will get more than 0.5 touchdowns. That's an easy prediction to make. I think he'll be very motivated for that game. When Stafford plays against the Indianapolis Colts, I'm going to say he gets more than 235 passing yards. I think that's a very interesting game right there. People are wondering where the Rams are at. I think he's trying to prove that he's still got one more nice playoff run within him. Now, the beauty of Prize Picks as well is it makes having fun like this and trying to guess correctly so easy. It's so simple. There's nothing complicated. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get the picks right, you could cash in. Even if you don't, by the way, there's still a chance you can win because they've invented flex play, so you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And it takes less than 60 seconds to lock in your picks, so anyone could do it. So download the app today and use the code SUMMONING to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SUMMONING to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineups. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Right, we've got the final section of the show. We can actually also make it a slightly bit longer. I was going to have to do something in 10 minutes, but that's gotten cancelled today anyway. So we'll let it ride a little bit. We'll do some questions and answers. Basically, if you want to support the show and have your question featured, obviously, we don't pick them all. It's just luck as to whether or not we vibe with your question. Subscribe to the Last Free Nation Discord, and there is a channel there, which is SI questions. There's also channels for the League of Legends Hot Take Point Made, the one I do with Keyray and Zabatine. On that last episode, if you want to know a little bit of cross promotion, I had a hot take that BDD for the last month is the best player in the world, like just the best player in all of League of Legends. So go watch that one if you want to see how that works. And you can also ask questions for CS shows as well if you're a Counter-Strike fan and there's some overlap. Okay, I will now go through them. Obviously, as usual, if you, when you submit a question, you don't want me to read your name out, make sure you just say, please don't read my name. Right, so let's have a look. All right, here's a good one, because I actually wonder where Yamato would go on this one. Bot Pounder 420 asks, who is the European soccer version of Philly sports fans? Right, so if you don't know, Philadelphia in sports is notorious for having really bad fans. As in, like if you go to their game, Yamato, in like the NFL, and you're dressed in the other team's colours, someone might just beat your ass, bro. Like for real. Like they're really obnoxious. They're getting drunk, they're having fights all over the place. Like it's even famous that they're one of those teams where like, bro, if they win the championship, they also might riot and just tear the fucking place up. Like they have some really obnoxious fans, right? So the question is, in European soccer, what fan base would that sort of vibe with? Who would come to mind for you? What's like a really like aggressive, like mean fan base? Who would stand out for you?
Oh shit. Like I feel like I'm not in the loop enough to like answer that, because it's like I know like of like racist circumstances. I know like online fans that are like really, really bad, but it's like in terms of like the violence, it's like the only thing that like came recent that came to my mind, but I don't even know if we can call them European, was like when the Tel Aviv Maccabi team came through the streets and did like all kinds of fucked up shit.
Oh, that shit in the Netherlands or whatever it was. I think it was in the Netherlands, right? Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it's like a specific one. I'm sure you have a better answer than I do on this one, man.
I've got one for you. Mine's more of it. I don't actually know currently. I haven't watched these fucking teams play in years for obvious reasons. But historically, I think the obvious answer would be someone like Galatasaray from Turkey. If you don't know, they are the ones where, first of all, their games, they do like what reminds me of the old school Italian hype. It's flares everywhere. It's people going crazy. But like, I have seen some wild, I can tell you, people know in Counter-Strike, Turkish fans go fucking ham with death threats online. Like, in real life, some of those people are mad aggressive. Like, those are the ones where, again, this is where European sports are different from American sports, especially in sports like basketball and ice hockey. There is an expectation in America. You can go, Yamato, to the stadium, even if you support the other team and sit in the home team's area, decked out in the other team's jersey with your kid, and you can celebrate when they score. That idea is alien to me, bro, as a European. Like, you would get, like, I wouldn't even, look, I wouldn't approve of the violence, but I would go, are you a fucking lunatic? Why would you go to the game and do that? Like, you're asking for it at that point. You know what these fans are like. Like, the ultras in Europe are no joke, bro. Like, it is, if you ever wanted to make an actual societal point, I'm not the one who invent this take. Sports is where all Europeans have sublimated their nationalistic and patriotic ideas. They don't know, they no longer seem to care in real life about how life is. They're all secular and we're just Europe and we're all United Colours of Benetton and humanitarian. But in sports, they still have like, the joke is in the modern day, you can say to someone, God doesn't exist, and they'll say they're a Catholic and they'll go, who cares? But if you tell them their team sucks, they'll go fucking mental, bro. Or if the referee gives a penalty in the last minute to the other team and the other team scores and beats you, they'll fucking riot, bro. Yeah. There was the story a few years back. I'm trying to remember which team it was. I can't remember. It might have been when Liverpool was in the final against Real Madrid or something. I remember there was a European final not that long ago where the police were like beating the fuck out of all the fans outside and everyone was all trapped. That still happens, yeah. So I would just probably say Galatasaray. Just it's the obvious one to pick out. They just have a history of being mad aggressive.
Right. I wonder how many like potential wars have been prevented due to sports. You know, because it is an outlet for everyone's tribalism and anger, you know?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Right, right, I don't actually find this question interesting, but we'll do it.
All right.
Josh Gerling, because he's asked it like 5 times over the year, mate, we've never answered it. So I'm going to do it now. Josh Gerling, PT, says, can you use MMA math to come up with a definitive ranking of the top 4 in order in both the LPL and the LCK? So we have to do our top 4. But when he says MMA math, he doesn't mean do it as just the ranking that came out. We're using the logic like this team could beat this team, could beat this. What would your top 4 be? I guess for LCK it's more interest. He means like, both.
So we do one separately, or we?
That's the problem. He didn't write it correctly. So the way he's written it, I believe he means separately, which is insanity because the LPL's finished. But okay, I think he means separately more because he put in both the LPL and LCK. He didn't put combining. So what can I do, mate? Okay. I can only do what you write on the page. So we're going to do them separately. LPL, what are the top 4?
Oh, what a freaky question. It's like it's like the only MMA math that could like occur where it's like I could see a world where if AL played Bilibili in this playoffs, that they would beat Bilibili. That's like the only like.
So I'll give you an example, Yamato. Let's say it wasn't this bracket. Let's say instead it was like a round robin. You just play a little round robin with the top 4 teams. I actually would probably pick anyone's legend to win it. I think, like, obviously they have to have the level they showed at the end here in the playoffs, but I think their floor can be really good, mate. It's why they were so good in the other splits. I'm with you. Like, I could see a world where, like, I think they could have beaten top esports here as well. There's a world where I agree with you. I think they could be number 1. I think that's fair.
Yeah. It's like the triangle of top esports, Bilibili, AO. I guess the one that makes it super interesting. And we never got to see AO versus Bilibili, but I could see AO being the worst competitor there. And if everyone just played, if it was a round robin, if that's how it's framed, that makes more sense for my brain. I could see AL topping that out for sure. In that context, the only issue for AL is like, as you mentioned, it's like the later parts of their performance is the key one. But they did drop a series against fucking Green Weibo, so that's definitely the tough one. But we are estimating depending on the end, right? And for the LCK, it's like, what can you really do? Like, I believe. There's a world like we expected this to be our top 4, but in a completely different order. We expected GenG, T1, Hanwha Life, and then KT. And I think that if all teams played against each other in that context, I think currently probably Hanwha Life would be second and KT would be last.
I agree if we're going off this weekend or this last week or whatever. But I would say before that, I think it would be fine to have T1 second. And that's totally legit.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And I don't care that technically KT is top 3. They're not top 3 in this list. They're 4th. But they're a solid 4th. They're definitely the 4th team, but they would be 4th. Come on. Because I got to say, I also don't believe, like, for example, we'll never know now, but I don't believe KT would have beaten T1 either. I think T1 would have won that game. It's actually why the bummer if you're a T1 fan is if you'd have beaten Gen.G, you might have been in the final. I don't think you would win, but I think you'd be in the final. It would be an interesting match. By the way, how hype would that also be? A final of the year ends up being Zeus against fucking T1. That would be pretty spicy. Although, by the way, you'd 100% be getting trucks if you lost that one if you're T1. Like, that would be like Joe Marsh out trucks, you know what I mean? Wow, what a world. Oh, I have a question for you. Here's one thing I've just realized we didn't discuss before, so let me tease it in now. Does what happened in these playoffs make you consider that at Worlds, T1 should genuinely have as a potential contingency plan, bring Smash in?
Ooh.
Because no one thinks about that, but I'll tell you what, with the way Guma played in the meta, bro, I wouldn't say I'll necessarily do it, like Guma has the more experience, but I'd at least take him as the sub and I'd try, you know, maybe bringing him for one game. Do you need a minute?
No, all good. She thought I was done, and we're doing questions.
Yeah.
It's just there was it just comes back to what was the main point of the show for a long time, like the mismanagement of it all. Like if they executed the PR good, like they could have kept him on the sideline here,
Absolutely.
but like Smash needing a timeout and all that jazz, it's like Smash would have been very, very useful in some of these games for sure. It's like we had Gumayusi play Kaiser and Yunara in the playoffs. Like if that's not the cry for help, I don't know what is. And if you go into that game 5 and you don't need to ban Kaiser on blue side, then you can pivot into that. Like that's a massive strength. But they've really, really botched the damn execution. Like if there was no bullshit. When I say bullshit, I mean like the PR, the business, whatever. Yeah. Then this would have been a massive tool for For sure. That's a really really good thing to bring up for sure. There's many holes. Like we can go through those drafts and be like, yo, Smash would have been great here for sure.
Need for Speedo says, as two people who have done a lot of freelance work, do you have any advice for freelancers in other fields?
I wonder. I'm thinking what kind of crossover that is. I think I think a big thing that you realize is like I think a lot of companies, in my experience, want to take advantage of you. Like where they sometimes pay late and sometimes you know you send in receipts and they don't get paid and you're just sitting there in like freelance limbo. And I like obviously there's this tricky thing where if you're in a competitive field, they might just go with somebody else if you set too high of a demand. But I think that the main thing as advice is like knowing your worth, because in freelancing it's very easy to be isolated, but speaking to your peers and having some kind of collective awareness can go a super long way. So just I would say know your worth, because otherwise you'll be taken advantage of in many different ways.
Right, I will give some advice, but it's actually generic advice because, like a lot of secrets in the world, they're not secrets. The secret is you have to actually do what I'm saying. So if you don't do it, then it doesn't fucking matter if you heard. So what I'm going to say, you'll have heard before, but unless it gets in, you're not going to understand. So first of all, yeah, you need to network. It's not good enough that you think you're good and you think they don't know you. They've never worked with you before, mate. So first of all, any opportunity you have to get to know people, to do even a small project that's not even your main thing, do it, because then you have connections, then people know you. Even though Yamato's saying here, like, know your worth, I also think there's a subtle detail, which is it's fine when you're early on and you're not established to sometimes charge less and undercut, basically, because all you want first is the experience of working with them. Then when you've shown them that you're good, now you can potentially raise your rate and charge market rates, or you can even now use that experience to get a better gig elsewhere, etc. Sometimes getting your foot in the door is a big deal. Like I can tell you, when I did events, one of the reasons why there was an era where I'd worked every single possible tournament organizer in Counter-Strike is because the first time I worked with them, they didn't know this, I would always give them a tiny discount. And then I would work with them, show them I'm really good, and then the next time I'm going to charge my normal rate. And the difference is, if they liked what I did before, think about this. There's a big difference. I'll give you a random number. Say the number was 1,000. If I give you 800 the first time, but you thought it was going to be 1,000, you're definitely going to hire me. Then if I work and I do an amazing job and you want to hire me as the first choice next time, and now I say it's 1,000, your brain doesn't go, he's asked for 1,000 or 1,100. He goes, that's only 200 more than before. Okay, maybe we can do that. Maybe it'll work. Because I'm a known quantity then, and you've worked with me already. So then the other thing I would say, also along those lines, by the way, if you also want to network, a great way to do that can be do a favor for someone. Maybe you do something for free, or you give them some advice, or you show them something that'll work. By the way, I've actually had a lot of gigs over my career by just giving someone free idea. Like I've told a guy at a company, I actually think in your company, if you did things this way, that would really work. And then they sometimes come back like, hey, that was actually a good point. We want to work with you on this other thing here. Sometimes that gives you a payback in that way, because then also it's psychology. People feel like they owe you because you gave them something for free that helped them. And then lastly, it's a classic line, but I live by this. You under-promise and then over-deliver. You don't do what everyone else does, which is you tell them the over-promise. You say, I can do everything. Like, I'll give you an example, Yamato. I told that story last week where I hired Shocks and then I gave her that, like, TV show, basically, right? Mm-hmm. There's a million people I hired, Yamato. I used to tell them in the interview, listen, be very cynical. What is the minimum level of work you're going to do for us if you work here? So give me like a baseline level of what I can expect as a minimum. They would always overpromise. They'd be like, I can do 5 hours every single day, bro. They wouldn't. If I could have got these motherfuckers to do half an hour every day, it would have been awesome. Like they overpromised and underdelivered. They would never live up to it. Instead, what you do is you tell them the normal level of what you can do, sell them on that. That should hopefully be what the market is anyway. And then you're going to overdeliver. You're going to do some extra things for free. Say you're going to do 10 instances, you do 11. Say that a project goes extra time, maybe you don't even charge for that. If you do that, by the way, again, you will establish in people's minds, this is my guy. He always gives me better than I expected. He hit above his numbers, and it's bang for buck. These are all things which, if you put yourself in their shoes, this makes you the obvious person to hire. They'd be a fool not to hire at this point. So you have to think of it from their perspective. So yeah, there you go. That's some advice. Right, we're going to do another question that I don't think is a good question. This guy has submitted this question like 4 fucking times, and I think it is ass cheeks, bro. And I'll explain to you before we answer it why it's ass cheeks. So Big Boy says, what would your global all-pro team be for the entirety of season 9? Right, have you watched this show? You are aware, right? I'll give you a quick story. One of the reasons why in the past I haven't been able to do like content series with Papa Smithy, who was a legendary LCK caster, was there at the LPL at the very beginning, has one of the most tenured careers, is he totally admits, I don't have a photographic memory like you and Monty, bro. I can't just like remember a million games. I'd have to go and research them. Right, Yamato's not an alien, bro. He's got a pretty good memory. He can remember some stuff. I don't know that he can remember every fucking league in the world in season 9, 2019, for 6 years ago. So you might think this question is, we're going to answer it, but guess what? You're not going to be satisfied. It's not going to be a great answer. So go on, let's do it then, Yamato. Let's answer this fucking mental question. Not even just the LCK, what's the global all-pro? By the way, the reason's obvious. He's picked season 9 because he wants us to put fucking G2 players in there. Spoiler, I don't know that many G2 players are going in this one, mate, but we can try anyway. Global all-pro team. Let's just go by position. What would top lane be? Who was the best top lane in season 9?
I think season 9, we had Khan was a monster, right?
He was
On
a fucking sick
SKT.
player, yeah.
Gimgoon was whatever. We had the Shy Gaming. Griffin didn't have a top laner, so that was kind of tough. So it's between Khan, Wunder, and the Shy are our guys. Is that where we land? Because
I think so.
It's like Wunder was absolutely like the run for MSI. I think what Wunder did was that was absolutely crazy, and the fact that he beat Khan twice, I think matters. I don't think that Wunder was outplayed in the finals. I think Wunder is a part of that conversation. The main issue against, of course, G2 is that we have so much volume of play when it comes to regional play that is so much more relevant than what they went through, because it's like they played against Fnatic, sure. It's like that they were formidable. They had the Origin lineup with Patrick and Mithy and of course like Nuktak and that gang that was like solid with Alfari. In spring they won the finals with them. But G2 just didn't have much resistance. And then the main question is like, if we want to put G2 players, like how big part of their play, how big part of that was their collective genius, and how much do we want to attribute that to the individual? Because I think that's the only like metric where we are going to like stretch ourselves, between things.
Does Wunder get the top spot?
I think I can put Wunder there, considering he beat Khan twice and he did it fair and square.
No, I don't hate that one. I think that's fair. That may be the one Wester that gets in, though. We'll see. Because for jungle, it already gets spicy now. Like, listen, I could also consider Jankos, but let me think who else. Because the problem is Tian was fucking amazing at that Worlds, bro. He was the MVP of the finals. People do forget that. That was like a very cracked out Tian. Like his Lee Sin was unbelievable back then, mate. He was really fucking. Whereas you have to realize Jankos was more of the supportive style of jungler because he had all this super team. I'm trying to think who else would be in the mix in this time period. Oh, fucking Tarzan. I know he didn't do it in the finals, etc. But mate, he was unbelievable in the LCK regular season. He was fucking smurfing. I used to think he was the best player in the world at one point. He was nuts.
And then there was. Like beyond Tian, who could it be? Because like I remember even watching the FPX and the regular split. Like Summer is the one that stands out, and I remember Tian was like smashing people in a league which was very competitive jungle wise. Like this was like the rebuild phase of LCK. Like this is pre-Canyon, so like LPL was real as fuck back then. Like it was by far the best league. Even though it's like IG, I remember if we're talking about like it bleeds into mid lane a little bit, but it's like I remember how good fucking Rookie was. Like Rookie wasn't the reason this team lost at MSI. So it's like I'm down for Tian in jungle. I think that's the one that makes sense.
I think Tian could be the winner for this.
I'm down for Rookie in the mid lane too.
Because the problem is, I also do think this wasn't. Look, Tarzan was sick, but he didn't do it in the finals and didn't do it in the international, so I can't give him that one. I think Tian should win the jungle one. And then, yeah, for mid lane, you want Rookie?
Yeah, I'm thinking rookies. Like Caps was amazing, but I think he was even better 2020. Yeah, and Caps had like a really good matchup against Showmaker, but he was still like very young. And I think that rookie throughout the group stage, even the lead up to MSI, like what RG did to G2 in the playing portion of that tournament makes me think back to that and just. I remember that rookie was just so damn good, even in LPL in spring that year.
No, I think he was very good. Yeah.
Bot lane is funky.
Because the problem is that was also, for me, LCK was a bit weaker at that time. If you think about it, that was when you had like rookie Griffin. So unfortunately, Chovy still wasn't that good. He was still mechanically sick, but he wasn't the all-round player. Faker wasn't as good. That was the end of him being a top player. BDD, this was the middle portion of his career. I think that's even fair, yeah. Bot lane's where it gets hard.
Perks was special. Perks was special. Yeah, sure. He was. He
also wasn't
very
really
consistent.
an ADC though to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I always thought the
fair.
genius of how he played is he didn't really play like he wasn't a for the lane ADC, for example. He almost played to just leave the lane and do all the skirmishing and shit, didn't he? And he would play the mages and stuff.
Yeah. He just knew how to side lane so much better than all these ADCs too. So he was just farming so much better than everyone. I need to just pull up some rosters real quick. Fucking question.
I'm just checking the LPL to try and remember.
How good was JackeyLove in 2019?
Yeah, it doesn't look like that was one of his best years.
Yeah.
I mean, put it this way, Spring All-Pro ADC was actually Mystic on WE, believe it or not.
Oh,
people forget about Mystic. He used to be a stud too, Korean ADC.
And then, like, I'm looking at the rosters from the regional finals, and it was. I forgot that IG had to qualify through the regional finals. They were already stressing us out back then, bro. Just throw something in there, Thorin, bro.
I think ADC is hard, man. ADC is hard. Like, people will forget. I mean, I know none of the Griffin players did anything in the playoffs or worlds, but I'll tell you what, Viper's a very good player too. He also had crazy mechanics when he broke out the game. I remember watching and just being like, this guy's fucking bonkers, bro.
Honestly, Teddy was pretty fucking good throughout the year.
He was good. His problem is because he didn't win. He's just remembered as being a bad player, unfortunately. But I always thought he was good, yeah.
I just had to lane with fucking effort.
Like, you have to realize this is when Ruler was suffering with like the dodgy Gen.G, where it was like not that great a roster, so he was kind of trapped in Elo hell. This is when aiming first came along, but then he got that fucking suspension because he did whatever the fuck. Death was still around, but he was on King's Zone that year, like the whack one where it had like fucking Nahyun mid lane, so that was kind of a bit of a whack one. Prey actually came back, but this was the bad one, unfortunately. He was on the KT that didn't work.
Uzi, I can't forget as well, like Uzi.
He was still sort of around, yeah. He was still good on RNG. He wasn't at his peak, but he was still good on RNG at the time.
Yeah. AD is a tough one because like support, I'm down to throw in Mickey in there. Like that's what I'm down
I think that's
for.
fine. Yeah, here's the thing. I think that if I had to put two Western players, Wunder and Mickey, I think are the ones that get it. I think that's fair. Although, to be fair, I will also point out, I remember especially the summer, that was like also an insane Hillasang split, that summer split.
Yeah.
He was really good at that one. He was cooking on that one.
Like even that Worlds,
for AD,
fucking Pike.
Pick who you want for that one. I think that's the most wide open one. I think it's really hard to pick the AD.
Oof. Yeah, it's like, I have no memory of how LWX played in regular splits, but I'm going to do the T1 fan thing. Well, he won Worlds, so he's going to get it. Just so we can move to the next question.
My problem is, one of the reasons I'm actually, for this topic, biased against Western players is people are going to forget you're playing your regular seasons against worse players. Like, as much as someone might want to get, yeah, but what did Griffin do? Except for the playoffs, murk everyone in Korea. It's pretty hard, you know. Like, there's not that many easy games. I just said, like, there's like teams that were like also runs that deft on them for fuck's sake and pray. Like, there's some pretty big names in the league. So yeah, I think that's a tough one to pick. Right. What about this one? I'm going to skip this question. Like, all right, here's a good one. This is like the question's weird, but it's got a question within it. Kiku says, which talent from all time would you pick for a double Elim Worlds? Now, what is confusing me here is talent is actually a term from television and movies, which means the people who appear on your screen. So talent should mean Shocks, fucking Medic, Cadril, etc. That's what it should mean. I assume that's what he means because he puts from all time. Essentially, because he says double Elim Worlds, I think he's meaning if we could have the Dream World Championship and we had a time machine, what talents would we bring to do, the ultimate world? So essentially, it's just going to be us glazing our favorite League of Legends talents. Oh, because he says all time, it's also fun. So since we're going all time, what's your first? Let's do it like a draft. What's your first pick? Who are you taking? Any role you can go with there. So who are you taking?
I think we put Shocks on the interviews. Like there's too many classics. That's an easy one. That's the easy one. Like Dash for the desk. I think he would smurf it. We need to put in. And I think both of them just bring really really good showmanship and make the segments in between like really really unique and interesting. And then for the cast,
I've got two I want to put forward.
Okay, go.
My first two picks for commentators are easy. I think this one's easy. First pick, Monte Cristo. He had it all. He was doing the best region. He actually also, I always thought, was very underrated in that he had a deep knowledge. He literally, by the way, pioneered how we talk about macro in League of Legends. That whole meme of like, hey, rotation. Yeah, no one said that before. Before that, they just went, he's winning the lane and the gold lead is 3K. Will they win this team fight? No one talked about ideas of like, how do you use your different positions and rotate around the map? How do you rotate between objectives? How do you use wave control? And also, he was going deep. But he was also one of the best people I've ever seen at translating those ideas to the everyman. He would even start the broadcast with, we're on this patch, here's some of the recent changes. Then he would describe for every team the win conditions of both teams. By the way, all this stuff now you're going to go, everyone's like, no, he invented that. He did that first and everyone copied him. Everyone basically does a version of how Monty casted League of Legends as the colour commentator. And then I'll tell you easily, mate, my play-by-play. I'm taking Atlas all day long. I think this guy is so fucking good. He is really good at speaking fast, which you need if you're a commentator like him, play-by-play. He synergizes with everyone, by the way. He's great with Wolf. He's great with fucking Valdez. He's great with LS, who was a notoriously difficult person to synergize with. Also, he's funny, genuinely. He knows when to give the other person space. He knows when to take over. He can banter and have rapport with any caster, it seems like. And he's also worked on the LPL in the past. And now he works on the fucking LCK, and obviously because he's Australian, he speaks English. He's watched the Western region. Like, he's just a fantastic talent, mate. And also one of the most easily likable. Listen, at least Monty would play the villain. Atlas, who the fuck doesn't like Atlas? If you don't, check yourself in somewhere, mate. Like something wrong with you. Like he's the most likable guy of all time. I love him.
We need to throw in someone from the pro player background. We just throw in a little Deficio in there to balance Monte Cristo.
Mega one. Also slept on. Basically, Deficio was the original Cadril. Came from being a pro, not a very good pro, by the way, but knew the pro world as a result of the other players, but also was someone who was always smarter than he was good as a player. Like, if people don't remember, the first time they used Deficio was he was brought in out of nowhere to do the Worlds fucking draft for the final of Season 3 Worlds. And mate, he smurfed it. Even though, yes, his accent was hard to understand and he wasn't good on camera, his knowledge was fire, though. He was nailing all because he knew all the shit from the boot camps, etc. So I think Deficio, and also year on year, they get better and better. Like by the end, by the time these two guys leave, they're fucking smurfing pro. They're awesome. And people will forget how good Cadril was on LEC at the end, to be fair. He was very good. There's a world where Cadril doesn't become a streamer and he's just being considered like the fucking GOAT analyst, he would be sick.
Might be rude of me, but I honestly think that in terms of being on the analyst desk, I am one of the best ones in LEC history.
Okay, talk your shit. Go then.
And I think, if I think back to some of the best desks, it wasn't one that I was on, but it was the one that was continuously the same. It was the one with Crepo, Doublelift, Monte Cristo, and I believe Spawn. Okay. And I believe Spawn was on it. And they were just the same desk over and over again. Okay. And they had like a continuous band that they would just build on. So if I made a desk for a world championship, I would just stick in the same people. And I would just have the same crew. I would put in the same people that balance each other out, that there is some like contention, there's difference of opinions, there's this difference of skill set, and then you measure those opinions against each other real time. So it's like after a game, you know, you have a situation where, oh, you predicted these guys to win, well, I predicted these guys to win, and your team got smoked. What are you gonna say about that shit? You know, that type of energy, I think, is so lacking at the analyst desk, you know. And I think that, for me, that was like the best desk of all time. I remember all those moments with Monte. I remember all those moments with Mitch, and of course Double Lift too. And I think we need to do something like that again, you know.
The only problem is this is all time, so I'm not picking Double Lift. Like, I agree, it's funny on those desks. Like, put it this way.
Yeah, I'm saying the concept. I'm putting myself on the desk, but the concept, we need the same concept.
Put it this way, I am going to nominate Kreppel, though. Like, obviously, he had external circumstances why his career ended in that sense. He had to become a secret GM. This guy was fantastic. Again, by the way, kind of like the Monty of analysis. True, his analysis was more from the perspective of a support player, but it was in the era when support started to do way more on the map and in the macro. And actually, if you didn't understand some of those concepts of like warding, etc., you would be behind in understanding the game. I always thought he's a great person to translate difficult concepts in a likable way. I'll tell you another person I'm immediately putting in, easy pick, Emily Rand. True, maybe you need to balance people around her, but at what she does, she's excellent. And I do think she's gotten better year on year at being on camera. Like, I actually think, low key, that segment where she draws the life, she cooks every time with that bro. It's so good. Like, I even know some of the stories of these players. I'm like, that's a great way to tell the story. I'll tell you what, I'll mention him earlier, but if we're doing all-time people who've ever worked as a talent, I would definitely have to have LS on this desk, bro. And let's just break it. People don't get this. They think he does contrarian takes. You're an idiot if you think that. He is think about this. Think it logically. He is more different to you than any other person in esports, whoever you are as a fan. So unsurprisingly, he thinks differently. He's not sitting there thinking, what would a dickhead at home think? Oh, I think the opposite. No, because he doesn't always think the opposite, does he? What he does is he just has his own unique take on everything because he's LS. Because he's a fucking weirdo in the best possible way. Also some bad ways, but a very good way too. Like I'd have to have LS, mate. He brings the spice no matter what. You almost can't have a boring LS segment. You know what I mean?
That's fair, yeah.
Also, if we're doing fantasy, LCS had 1 million core stars. So you know what? Yeah, I'd put Dom on the desk too. I think Modern did. Here's the saddest thing of all, Yamato. Actual Dom now in the core stream era is mega, bro. Like, put it this way, he is still my favorite core streamer. And the joke is I'm closer friends with LS, but I would still watch Dom's core stream by default if it is available and he's watching the matches, as long as he doesn't. Here's the one downside. Same. Maybe not if he has the whole sack there, because then you're all just going to be talking with each other the whole time. If it's just him, I love the ones where he does them solo, bro. I love the ones where it's just him.
Bro, we haven't done a sack in a whole last year. Like, it turns his viewership too much. We stopped doing that shit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. I sort of see why, though, because here's the problem. I know why he did it, because it's way more fun if you have to watch 1 million games. Have a bunch of people with you and take some of the slack. But I do think some of the best ones are just Dom on his own, actually. I think he's really good at solo casting a game, sort of. And I think he's really good. I can't do this, put it this way. He's way better than me at, like, in live. He can sort of do almost like a mini Thorin Stotts, but live. I have to have a little bit of time to think about how I'm going to structure it. What would I say? I'm amazed how many times he gets all his thoughts off, but he just does it in the moment when someone asked in his Twitch chat and he didn't even plan to talk about that. I think he's actually really good at that too. So I'd put Dom on the desk too. By the way, I tell you what we have to do to close this out. They're all going to cry their fucking eyes out that aside from Dash and Emily Rand, we haven't really put any of the LCS people on. So is there any LCS casters you want to chuck in? Who's your favorite?
I feel like Kobe kind of fits in the official spot, you know? Okay. I think that he does a good job of like, which is an underrated skill set, but like setting the tone appropriately to what the match represents. I think Kobe does a good job of like having like the serious, like high stake games and also like the less interesting games. And I think that he's a person to like come back for. I've enjoyed Kobe because it's like I appreciate, at least from my side, someone that makes it so glaringly obvious that they consume the game. Like there's been so many moments in time where you notice a caster is no longer consuming the game. He's like not in the loop. He gets surprised by a strategy we've seen for 2 weeks straight in a different region. Like when they're not in tune with what's going on. Like see, something as simple as just playing the game makes such a big difference. I give you an example. Like Medic is like probably the highest rated player in the LEC broadcast, besides Finn, of course, and Odoamne. They are like pro players that just came off of playing right now, but it's like in terms of the core guys, and he's the play-by-play guy, and he's higher rated than someone like Verius. I have deep respect for that because it shows in how they talk the game. Like it's not necessary that you have to play, just that you take the time to consume the game in times where you're not casting, because I think that really shows through. And Kobe is the guy that's also like who just spams the game, plays, and takes from anecdotes of his game experience, which I think is important because everything moves so damn fast.
Right, what we're going to do is we're going to do one last question because it's already gone quite a while, and then we'll just do some of the other ones next time. So Fede says, right, listen, it's a trade offer. You receive a truly amazing run from Rookie, where he's the best player in the world, and IG wins Worlds with him as the MVP, defeating BLG, T1, and HLE in playoffs. His GOAT/BOAT case gains widespread traction again. The Shy retires, Rookie stays on IG, and they get 369 and Kanavi next year. But this is what has to happen in exchange. Listen to this demon.
That has to be fucked up, no?
Gen.G loses to KT this Saturday after a bizarre underperformance. They go to Worlds as LCK's third seed, but keep playing poorly, Chovy especially, and get knocked out in quarters by G2. Chovy retires, never to be seen in the league scene again. Do you accept the trade? Yes. Essentially, Yamato, will you sacrifice Chovy, fuck him forever, in exchange for Rookie, making you seem like you were right all along? What would you think?
Bro, you know when you presented it and it just kept getting better and better, I thought the other side of the offer would be like something fucked up. It's like, you need to pledge allegiance, you need to say Israel hi every day or some fucked up shit, you know? Like I thought it's going, bro, if we have to sacrifice a different team within the league, easy, bro. IG wins Worlds, so come on, man. Rookie MVP.
Here's what's sad, Yamato. This is where I am a man of principle and I always will be. Obviously, the offer he gave me is amazing. Like, I want all those things. That would be so sick. By the way, do you imagine how long I could talk shit on Faker fans if that was all true? If Rookie did that right at the end, by the way, when he's not even that good anymore, at the end of his career, if he smurfed the whole thing. But you know what? I actually wouldn't take the deal. And the reason why is, I think it's bullshit to end Chovy's career like that. Like, Rookie already had a Worlds, mate. He already has the body of work to be the best if you think he's the best. I think it would really suck if Chovy never plays again. By the way, he should have like 3-4 years at least more. He could have the greatest career ever. And the idea he has to suck, blow it, lose the final, lose Worlds, lose the G2, and then retire. I wouldn't give, essentially, for the good of League of Legends, I wouldn't give up Chovy just to give that to Rookie. Even though, yes, I love the Rookie angle. So even though low-key, I would sort of rather the Rookie thing happened, I wouldn't choose. I would be so magnanimous. This would be my sacrifice
Thorin,
to the world.
This is fantasy land. You need to live a little in fantasy land. This is in principle land. We wouldn't do this. Which is here, but this is fantasy land. Live a little, bro.
Say, though, I like the way he already gave us Rookie, like winning Worlds, MVP, beats all the best teams, and then to sweeten the pot, he's such a bitch. He even put in that the Shy retires, we get 369 Kanavi. Like that's why he just wanted us to pick that one, didn't he? He just like he over sweetened that one, didn't he? I know what you mean. Like,
but it's like it's fantasy land, Thor. It's like. Imagine it's like it's equivalent. It's like if I could if in Fantasyland, Thorin, you would have you could eat anything that you want, and you'd be like, yeah, but I still want a healthy, structured meal. It's like, no, Thorin, you can eat whatever the fuck you want. There's no consequence. It's Fantasyland, man.
Well, either way, Yamato, we are eating good here at LFN. So tune in next week for some of the insight, and we will tell you more about League of Legends.